Now, this is case number 383 on the calendar in the matter of Stockwell versus Fithian. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Mr. Stockwell, it is your claim that the defendant, who was your girlfriend, owes you money that you loaned her for the down payment on a car.
Correct.
And this is the scenario that you allege. Don't fidget. Don't worry. I haven't even started on you yet. The two of you went looking for a car. She needed a car. She had a car that was hers, as far as you knew, that she was going to trade in and use as a down payment. She found a car that she liked. Hands out of your pocket.
Correct.
And the dealer was going to give her $2,000 as a trade-in for her car. You said to her, that's a ripoff. Your car's worth $4,000, right?
Correct.
So it is your claim that you said to her, listen, I'll give you the $4,000. Don't trade in your car. You go sell your car privately, you'll get a lot more for it, and when you sell your car, you'll give me back the money. That's your story.
Correct.
And you're sticking to it.
Correct.
Miss Fithian bought the car. She accepted your $4,000. And then she had one excuse after another for not selling the car that she had been driving. You subsequently found out, sir, that the car wasn't sold because it wasn't
Hers.
hers. That it belonged to her
Parents.
parents. And she couldn't sell it
Correct. Correct.
because it didn't belong to.
To her.
In addition, you say that as some demonstration of this debt, she gave you a check for $200 at some point, and the check bounced.
Actually, the $200 was cash that was given to me.
Cash.
She gave me a check for the balance, and that check actually bounced.
Do you have
twice.
that check?
No, but I do have the statement of the account that it was deposited into and then it being withdrawn afterwards. I don't have a copy of the voided check.
Why?
We were still together at the time, so I assumed it wasn't an issue at that
You
time.
were still together.
What?
Up
No,
there-
that was kind of the final straw, but
But you were together.
correct, yes.
And when she gave you the bounced check, you were together.
Correct.
Well, what did you say to her when she gave you the bounced check?
What the?
And what'd she say to you?
She came up with multiple excuses. She had said that the money was given to her by her grandmother, and her grandmother got sick, so she needed the money back. And long story short, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So now I got his story. Let's have yours.
Okay, I was looking to purchase a new vehicle. I'd given my parents' car back to them. It was going to be my brother's. My brother had just got his permit, and they had no other vehicle, so they asked for my Honda back. So I gave them back the Honda, and I was looking for a new car. Well, I was a first-time buyer, and I couldn't get anybody to co-sign. My parents wouldn't co-sign. They thought it was too big of a responsibility. Nobody would.
What kind of work were you doing?
I wasn't working at the time. I just got laid off.
Well, that was a good
She's
reason
lying.
for nobody co-signing for a car for you.
Yes, agreeably,
Who
but
were you living with?
I was living with Ron, and I was told that...
Just a minute. So you were living with Ron? Mm-hmm. And your parents took the car back?
Correct.
Did you know that, Ron?
She's lying. The car
Of
was
course
hers.
she's lying.
The car was hers. She didn't give the car back to her parents until after the new vehicle was purchased.
Of course. Nobody gives up a car.
Well, I had to give up the car. The car was not in my name.
I understand that, but you didn't give it back to them until after you got your little tuchus in the new car. That's what I'm saying to you, madam. You get it? You know, little tuchus? That's your little behind. Till you put your behind in the new car, you didn't give your brother back the old car.
No, I had to give the brother back my old car. That would be Grand Theft Auto if I would have kept the car.
Miss Fithian, listen carefully to what I just said to you. I said you didn't give one car back until you got your behind in the new car.
That's incorrect.
Yeah. On what date did you buy the new car?
It was November 26th, 2000.
And on what date did you give the car back to your parents for your brother?
It was sometime in August.
Just a second. November 26th, 2006, you bought the new car?
I believe it was, so.
That's right about right. I have the exact
And you
date.
gave back the car to your parents in August of 06, 3 months before.
Correct, yes.
3 months.
Correct.
Is that right, Mr. Stockwell?
No, the car was actually purchased on November 19th, and I would have to say she gave the car back to her parents somewhere around late January, early February.
Of
Yeah.
07.
Correct.
2 months later?
I would say probably a month to 2 months after she had the new car. In the beginning, we had the new car, and the old car had sat in the street for a while, just sitting there because I had intentions of selling the vehicle, obviously.
What's her father's name? What's your father's name?
Paul, and when I was with him for over a year, he should know that.
Paul what?
Paul Ignacio.
And the car is in his name?
Correct.
Give me his telephone number.
2243.
And your brother's name?
My brother's name is Sean.
His number?
It's 8605.
And what kind of car was this, by the way?
The one that was
A
purchased?
1998 Honda Civic.
Great. Why don't you have a seat? Is this Sean? Sean, this is Judge Judy Scheindlin. How are you this afternoon? Good. I need your help with regard to some dates. Your sister is here, and I'm trying a case involving the 1998 Honda Civic. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. Can you tell me when you took possession of that car? All right. We're back together again, Sean. When did you take possession of the car? Okay. And where had the car been before August of '07? Who was driving it? For how long before you got the car? So you haven't driven the car. Thank you. Goodbye, Sean. Goodbye. Well, Miss Fithian, there is no question that your parents did not need this car back immediately for your brother. He doesn't even drive this car much, he said, because it's a stick shift. Maybe he took possession of the car in August of '07, maybe, but he doesn't drive it much. Your parents sometimes use it when they need gas money. I don't know what he was talking about. But that story that you just gave me, that they needed it back for your brother, it was a whole lot of who shot John.
Excuse me, Your Honor, but it was not a story, second of all.
It was a big story, unless you're telling me that your brother's a liar.
Excuse me, but my brother is only 16 years old. He is not even credible for this.
No, you're not credible. Your brother, who didn't know how to lie, was a little bit credible, even though he was trying to cover his tracks. He even disconnected me once on his cell phone. But I have children and grandchildren. I know all about the disconnecting. I can't hear you routine. So, the story that you just gave me was a lot of baloney. Now, who was supporting her when you were together?
That would be me, Your Honor.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Stockwell?
Self-employed. I do metal distribution.
Do you make a living?
An okay one, yes.
And what about her?
What do you mean, what about
Does she
her?
work?
At the time, actually, when we purchased the vehicle, she worked.
What was she working at?
I don't know, selling motorcycle accessories. She had led me to believe that she was doing really well and she would be being promoted and everything was great, so she needed this.
Did she give you any money towards the expenses of running your home?
In the very beginning, there had been times that she had given me a couple hundred here and there, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm obviously
No, I'm
more
just
worried.
asking you, I'm just trying to explain to you, sir, how very, very fortunate you are. Lesson maybe cost you a couple of bucks, but look what a good lesson you learned early on, right? And look how you didn't get hooked. You didn't have a kid with her or anything, did you?
No, I didn't. Yeah.
So, who's got the car now?
Toyota.
Toyota? How did
Correct.
Toyota get the car?
It was repossessed.
Why?
Because I wasn't working at the time. He had me staying home taking care of his two kids from two different mothers and cleaning his house, cooking him dinner. So I wasn't working and I couldn't make the $575 payments a month.
You have custody of your children?
Every other weekend.
You have every other weekend with your
Correct.
children?
Yeah.
So what were you
No,
doing?
there'd be times where I would have to go pick them up for things. And when I would watch them and pick them up, he'd be at the bar drinking, shows to his felony DUI with bodily injury for $40,000 that he has.
Why didn't you have a job?
He told me not to work. He had me not
No way
working.
did he tell you not to work.
He makes a lot of money at what he does. Shows for all my Coach bags he bought me, all of my snowboarding equipment, my snowboard that he bought me, all my snowboarding trips. This isn't just the only thing. He bought me tons of things, tons of things. He had me not working to take care of his eyeglasses appointment, all of his appointments and everything. I was like his personal secretary. This wasn't like a normal, oh, I'm staying home and get to go get my nails done every single, no. And I would have to go to the mall and buy new clothes because I wasn't presentable enough for him in front of his family. I'd have to take pictures of me in the mirror and send it to him to make sure that that was appropriate.
She's lying.
No, I am not. This was not your normal relationship.
No, she's a dingbat. But she was your dingbat. You picked the dingbat. And you indulged the dingbat, Mr. Stockwell. You indulged the dingbat. When did you purchase this car?
November 19th.
November 19th, 2006?
Six, correct.
And how long did you live together after you had the car?
Approximately 3 months. I
How
would think
long?
maybe a little bit longer.
Let's see. About 5 months.
5 months.
Could have been 5 months.
Could have been, yeah.
You didn't get your $4,000 back month one?
No,
month
I didn't.
two?
I didn't really start to get concerned
Month
about
two?
it until month 3.
Month three? Yeah.
Month three is when I started to get concerned, and
And what happened in month 3? You still slept together?
oh yeah,
You weren't that concerned, right?
I
weren't that stressed? That
I
it
was under the
interfered with your... with your
Well, I was under the
performance?
impression that I was still going to be getting the vehicle. Her parents had the vehicle, but I was still
Get
being
down on the
told.
floor, sir. Kiss the ground that's there. Say, listen, I already made 2 mistakes, right? You have 2 children from 2 different women. And how old are you? 26? 27?
27.
27? That would count in the category of mistakes. This might have been a 3rd one. Not clever. But you don't get your money back. Goodbye, Mrs. Stockwell. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Obviously, once I found out she was a liar and everything that she had been saying was bull,
I left and I got my own place,
then I decided to move on.
and I'm doing just fine now.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bile versus Darling. Step forward.
24-year-old Jordan Bile is suing 19-year-old Jacob Darling for crashing his motorcycle during a test drive. Jacob claims the accident was due to the motorcycle's faulty brakes.
Mr. Bile, would you tell me something about yourself, sir? Your age, what you do for a living, schooling?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Jordan Bile. I'm a laboratory technician for Sherwin-Williams. I'm 24 years old. I attended Pensacola Christian College for 2.5 years. I've been working at Sherwin-Williams for 3 years as a laboratory tech.
So you sound like an intelligent young man.
Yes, ma'am. I like to think so.
It's a relatively simple case. You were selling a motorcycle. Had a for sale sign on it.
Yes, ma'am. That is correct.
The defendant and his girlfriend
Yes.
came over and said, gee, you may be interested in buying it. I'd like to take it on a test drive. So far, right?
No, he actually offered the test drive.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
And tell me something about yourself, Mr. Darling.
My name's Jacob Darling. I'm 19 years old. I work full-time at Tom's Crane Service doing landscaping and maintenance. I also go to Akron University full-time majoring in engineering right now.
So you're a smart guy.
I'd like to think
So he offered you a test drive. Offered you.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said fine. And he took the bike out for a test drive and he crashed it.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you want him to pay to repair it. Mr. Darling has a counterclaim because Mr. Darling says that after he crashed the motorcycle and came back with it, you said to him, oh, it was the brakes. I've had trouble with those too. Did you ever say that to him?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Now, the reason that I asked the 2 of you for your background is because that would be one of the dumbest things that anybody could say. Oh, you crashed the motorcycle? It was my fault because the brakes were bad. I've had problems with the brakes myself. And I wanted to know what kind of moron he was, Mr. Darling, because he would have to be a big moron if I believed your answer, right?
Yes.
He would have to be a super big moron to say, oh, you hurt yourself, you're out of work, you ruined my motorcycle, and it's my fault because I let you drive a motorcycle with bad brakes.
If I could explain the
Just a
circumstances.
second.
Okay.
Do you understand where we're going, Mr. Darling?
Yes.
Good. Now you can explain the circumstances.
Okay, I test drove this motorcycle, and I was going below the posted speed limit of 25. I entered the turn. It was the final turn before I was back to his house. I noticed that there was gravel in the turn, which on a motorcycle you cannot go through a turn in gravel or you will slide out. So I had to stop before the turn so I could slowly proceed through it. Without the use of the back brakes, after pressing on the pedal and getting nothing from them, I wasn't able to slow down in time to make the turn, so I had to go straight into the ditch. On the way back, Mr. Bile was pushing the bike back, and me and my friend Allison were walking slightly behind. And I
My
mentioned
friend Allison
Yes.
and I.
Yeah, my girlfriend Allison. I don't know. But anyway, we were walking back, and I mentioned to her, she was like, what happened? What happened? And I said, the brakes didn't work. The rear brakes, I pressed the pedal, and they just did not work. So when she said, you must tell him that, you have to tell him that. Once we got back to his house, I then proceeded to explain the rear brake difficulty that I had, and he was like, oh, yes, I did forget to mention that I have had problems with the brakes.
No, ma'am.
In a million years, I don't believe you.
No, ma'am.
My witness...
Yeah, I
has
don't care.
heard
Your
her.
witness could stand there on a stack of Bibles, and I wouldn't believe her either. Were you bleeding?
Yes.
So you were injured,
Yes.
visible. He could see that, right? And he could see that his bicycle was ruined. And right there and then, he accepted responsibility for your injuries and the bicycle being crashed by saying, I had problems with the brakes.
I don't think it was something he meant to say, but once he was surprised by me saying that and did answer that the brakes did have difficulties. And I made a police report the day after the incident because I was in the hospital the night of. The police officer then looked over it and agreed that I wasn't responsible because there was really nothing I could do. So he gave me...
show me the police officer wrote that. Let me
No,
see
I-
what the police officer wrote, Mr. Darling, that there was nothing you could do, that you weren't responsible. I'd like to see
Well,
that in his
I don't
report.
have anything from that. He did...
Then I can't hear that, Mr. Darling, because if you don't have it, it doesn't exist.
Okay. He did speak to... or he came and spoke on my behalf in court, which I got out of the points of the ticket.
Did you get a ticket.
I did get a ticket.
For what?
For failure to control, because he said ultimately I was on
Don't tell me what he said. That's hearsay. You were convicted, correct?
I was cleared of the conviction after going to court.
You have a dismissal of that ticket with you.
I don't actually have the dismissal of the ticket, but I didn't receive any points on my license for
I don't
the
care whether
ticket
you receive points or not.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Bile, did you have any knowledge that there was damage to the brakes on this bike?
No, ma'am.
When was the time, immediately preceding the time Mr. Darling test drove the bike, that you rode the bike?
I think I rode it for the last time in November. The previous year, 2006.
How long had you had the bike?
I've had it for 7 months.
So it was a brand new bike?
Brand new. Bought it from the dealer.
How much did you pay for the bike, sir?
$1,475.
And how much were you selling it to Mr. Darling?
I was selling it for $1,300 or best offer.
Well, that's what you're going to pay for it, Mr. Darling, because to fix it is going to cost $1,852.23.
I do have more evidence here that
Yeah, go ahead. Let me hear.
he sent me a letter saying he was disappointed he hasn't heard from me about the bike to get a repayment. And in this letter, there's a list of what's wrong with the motorcycle, and the rear brake assembly is included in this list, which is the problem that I had with it, was with the rear brakes.
What
And
else is in there?
he includes a very extensive release form that would discharge him, his family, and any representatives from any claims, demands,
Absolutely.
losses, or anything that I experienced.
Absolutely.
Meaning he must have felt that
Don't
I
tell me
had-
what he felt.
Okay.
It's a brand new bike, 7 months old.
It was a very cheaply made bike, to say the least.
Then you shouldn't have taken it out, sir.
I know I shouldn't have,
And you shouldn't
but
have taken it out. You did take it out, and you ruined it. You're going to pay for it. It's yours. You bought it. $1,300. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused in the matter of Ricotta versus Leach.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Ricotta, it is your claim that you gave Mr. Leach $4,500 so that he could go out and scout around and find a car for your daughter for her birthday.
Yes.
Mr. Leach acknowledges that you gave him $4,500, but he says it was the return of a loan. This was your boyfriend for a period of time?
For 3 years.
So, Mr. Leach, I'm going to start with you, sir. When did you make Ms. Ricotta a loan?
The exact date was July of 2006.
And what was the loan for, sir?
Unforeseen expenses, household expenses, and also she had a very tight budget in terms of purchasing this car. So I was helping out with that.
Purchasing which car?
The car she was looking for her daughter for.
Tell me how these loans came about, Mr. Leach.
I
What do you mean? Sir, am I saying something confusing to you? Is English your primary language?
Yes, it is. Actually, I just had to think for a moment because
Because you didn't expect me to start with you. That's why you had to think for a moment, because you didn't expect me to start with you. Well, your defense is that the money she gave you was a return of a loan. So, tell me about the loan.
okay, she was telling me she was struggling in terms of meeting expenses, household expenses, and also at the same time in terms of what she was trying to do in purchasing this car. It was a lot of expenses that came up, so it was very difficult for her in order
Well,
to
how
meet
did you
those
come
expenses.
up with a figure, Mr. Leach?
I'm sorry, excuse me? Yeah. How did she come up?
How did you come up with a figure about how much money you were going to loan her?
Because it was about how much it would cost to buy a car. I figured how much, from what I knew about, though it was going to be very difficult to find a car for that amount of money, but, we were going to try to
So
see if
you
we could.
gave her the money to buy this car that she wanted to buy for her daughter. Is that what you're telling me? Mr. Leach,
Yes,
no,
correct.
That's not what you say in your answer, but let's say you sort of forgot what you wrote in your answer. So you lent her the money to buy this car, and you were supposed to look for the car because that's your sort of strong suit because you buy cars at auctions.
I have a friend who owns a dealership, and I thought that we could help her find a car through him.
So then why would you give her the money to give the money back to you?
It was her car. She would have to write the check for the car. She'd be
Not
purchasing
necessarily, sir. You could have written the check out of your account. How
That's
did you know it was
right.
going to be $4,000?
I didn't. I just it was an estimate how much it was going to cost.
Show me the proof.
Okay,
Show
sure.
me the proof. I'm dying to see your proof. Show me your bank statement, sir.
I don't have a bank statement with me. I have a canceled check showing the amount of money withdrawn.
Where's your bank statement showing that this money came out of your account?
I don't. It's a copy of the canceled check, the front and the back.
Show me
showing-
the bank
I don't have-
statement. You
I
were
don't-
supposed to bring bank statements, sir.
Sorry, I don't have a bank statement with me.
That's too bad. You have a bank statement to show me?
Yes.
Give that back to him, please. Thank you very much.
This transaction, which she's speaking of, in May of 2006, because he does have an auction, and I'm a single mother, and he knew I was struggling. He did not want me to take a part-time job, so he offered to help me with my finances, that we go in on a car together at auction, and we did. I put $4,000 in, he put $2,000. He did all the legwork, he went to auction, he sold the car, and for me loaning him the money, I made a $200 profit, which was good for me, worked for him, and I do have all the statements for that transaction. The canceled checks he's showing you is the payment of the $4,000 I originally gave him in May. So that was a totally separate transaction. And I do have bank statements showing it came out of my account.
Show me the money that you gave him.
Okay.
I'm talking about the money for your daughter's car.
Oh, okay.
As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Leach has been totally unsuccessful in persuading me that he made a loan to you.
Okay, that's what you have right there is for the transaction in October. And you can see there's a cancel money order that went into his bank account the day after I took it out of my bank.
Mm-hmm. That was in October.
Correct.
Does this look familiar to you, sir? This is a bank statement.
I know what a bank statement looks like. Let me ask you, can I ask you a question?
Can you ask me a question?
Yes, can I?
I don't know answers. All I know is proof. I know what proof is.
Okay.
Proof
A canceled
is
check
money...
is not enough evidence to support.
Sir, anybody can prepare a copy of a canceled check.
Okay, what about the checks I wrote to her with
Show me
showing...
the checks.
You have a copies of, with her name, with her endorsement.
These are copies, sir. I'm
Right.
looking for a bank statement showing me that money actually came out of an account.
Can you ask her if she...
No.
Oh, okay.
I think you're a hustler. She gave you this for $4,500. Money went into your account, $4,500. What did you do with
Before
the
that money came out of my account, and I think she will admit that, that I wrote those checks to her. She endorsed it.
Yeah, she just explained to me that there was some
Okay.
sort of an arrangement with a second car. Did you
I
buy
do
another
have a-
car at auction?
Yeah, there's another and I have, and she's made that claim before, and I actually have evidence to support otherwise that's not true what she's telling you.
Show me.
Okay.
Well, here I have something, Ms. Ricotta, in June of 2006, made out to cash. It says for Rosie. Who endorsed this?
I did. It's written on as...
So you cashed it, you endorsed it, and you wrote on for Rosie.
No, I wrote on Rosie, and then I endorsed it afterward.
And what did you do with the money?
I gave the money to her.
Did he give you money in June?
No. In fact, I have a bank account statement of the first transaction that I took out $4,000 in May, and that he paid me back the $4,000 with those checks that you see a copy of.
Okay. So you gave him the $4,500 when?
October 4th, 2006. My
It was
daughter...
coming up to an anniversary. Would you mind telling me what took you so long?
I originally started suing him in December. At the end of December, I took him to a small claims court.
And what happened?
He did not show up. He claimed he did not receive the notice. So he obtained an attorney. He had the attorney file to set a new court date. So that was successful, and that's what led us to here.
Ms. Ricotta, I'm satisfied that you gave him $4,500. I am now also satisfied that you vigorously pursued the return of your $4,500 2 months after you gave him the $4,500. I mean, I don't understand why he took your money and didn't purchase this car. Is there any reason? Did you break up with him shortly afterwards?
Yes, he felt the day that he came to my house, which was December 1st, 2 days before my daughter's birthday, because I did want it for my daughter's 16th birthday. And even though we had broken up earlier in August, we still remained friendly and we'd see each other now and then. I felt that he felt we were still going to stay together. And on
Come on, get to it. December 1st, he was at your house, and?
December 1st, he came to my house. I said, since you don't have the car in time for my daughter's birthday, I would like the money back. And I asked him if he still had the money. And he basically in turn said I called him a liar and a thief, and he felt disrespected, and he was hurt. He was hurt because that ended the relationship at that point. It was the last time.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, because that's not what happened actually at that time. That night in question, actually, she accused me of stealing money, which I had not done. She was under the influence of non-prescription medication, and she had a lot of issues, depression, and she was taking it out of me. I mean, I can add a lot more insight, but you know, it's the personal issues that
I don't have to go into personal issues.
Right,
All I
right.
have to know is, in my own gut, is
Right.
whether or not I believe, based upon the proof that's been shown to me today, whether or not she gave you $4,500 to go and look for a car for her daughter, and whether or not, because the relationship was over, you failed to return the $4,500. She has proof that she took $4,500 out of her bank. She has proof that that $4,500 found its way within a couple of days to your bank. You say it was the return of a loan. I am not satisfied that there was any loan that you made to her, because you gave me some convoluted story that, quite frankly, even you couldn't follow if you were sitting here. So I am satisfied that you did, in fact, take this money in the quest to buy this young lady a car, and you didn't return it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,500. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I wish the verdict would have gone the other way. It would have sent a strong message to her that we're talking about denial and untruthfulness.
I'd worked long and hard for that money to save for my daughter, and here was the moment, and I couldn't do for her what I wanted to do.
It's not hard for me to believe that, he would go out of his way just to be a pain in the butt.
I'm not the type to have bitter feelings. I wish him the best, and I'm just glad to be moving on.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Dennis versus Dennis. Step forward.
Diane Dennis is suing her daughter, Christy Dennis, for fraudulently using her home as collateral on a bail bond. Christy claims she paid her back.
Mrs. Dennis, this is your daughter.
Yes.
According to your complaint, your daughter has had a difficult adulthood. She has some children that you are caring for because she had a drug problem for a while and was unable to care for the children. And I assume that you're doing okay now.
Yes.
You look fine.
Thank you.
Sometime during that period of time, she gave you the home that she had, and you and the children live in that home.
Yes.
You subsequently found out that she had used that home while it was still in her name as collateral for bail for her boyfriend.
Right.
The boyfriend skipped out. The bail was up to several $1,000s. There was a lien on the house for that amount of money, and you want her to pay you back for that.
That's correct.
Is there a mortgage on the house?
Yeah.
And how much did you pay for it?
$115,000.
When did you buy it?
It would be like 96 or 97.
99.
Oh, 99.
What's the house now worth?
$150,000.
So it is appreciated in value.
Yes.
And when did she give it to you?
In September of '03.
And are you paying the mortgage on the house now?
Yes, I am.
Did you put any money down on the house?
No, I didn't.
So the house is now worth approximately $35,000 more than when you purchased it. And you put in zero money.
Well, I put some upgrades in the home, but I didn't.
That has
put any.
nothing to do with, you put in zero money.
That's right.
To purchase it.
Right.
And between 1999 and 2003, you paid the mortgage?
Yeah.
You did not pay the mortgage.
Well, I did. It went into foreclosure 3 times during that time, and it was because of non-payment. So the first time was $1,800. That was in '01. She came to me and said, I'm in big trouble.
Okay, that was $1,800. And
okay,
then?
A year later, in 2002, it was $2,200, and I paid that. And then I moved in with her. She was having trouble paying her bills and everything. And in 2003, it went into foreclosure for the 3rd time for non-payment.
But you were living with her at the time?
Yes, and I was giving her my half of the house payment to pay, but she was not paying the house payment. So then we owed $2,425. And I said, well, if you want me to pay it this time, it's no longer your house.
And that was in September of 2003?
Yes.
And when did you actually turn the house over to your mother?
September of 2003.
And when did you use the house as collateral for bail for your boyfriend?
And June of 2004.
Well, how could you use the house as collateral?
Well, it was still in my name.
Well, how could it be in your name if you turned it over to your mother? When did
She
you
kept
actually...
it in my name.
Oh, she can't do that.
No,
Why did
what
you
we
keep it
did
in
is
your name?
that we did a quick claim deed and we notarized it and everything, but I did not record it at the county recorder's office.
Why not?
Because I was not anxious to take her house, and she said that she was going to pay me back. And so I put on the letter of explanation on the quick claim deed, I gave her a little bit of time to do that and said if she did it by a certain date.
Miss Dennis,
She never did it.
You don't get the benefit of the law when you're not following through and doing the right thing. Ms. Dennis, if you had recorded the deed, which you, I assume, ultimately did,
Yes, I did.
then she couldn't have used the house as collateral.
That's right. That was my mistake, definitely.
It was your mistake.
Right.
But you're really not out any money because you have a home in which you put in no money and you have equity in the house of over $35,000.
Yes, and I've helped her a lot. The only
Yeah,
thing
I'm not talking about you helping her. And I assume that when she gave you this house, and if there was an increased equity of $35,000, nobody paid any federal gift tax on the house.
Well, it hasn't been sold.
Doesn't have to be sold. She gave you a gift. And if the gift is in excess of $10,000, you have to pay a gift tax on that, Ms.
Well,
Dennis.
she was going into foreclosure. It was either going to go to the bank or to me.
You're making excuses. You know exactly what I'm saying to you. What I'm saying to you is you now have a home in which at most you put in $4,000 if you paid the back mortgage payment.
No, that was over $6,000, three times.
I have 18 and 22.
And then 24, 25, the last time. That was the
well,
foreclosure.
you were living, just a second, you were living there.
And giving her the payment.
You were living there. I don't believe that you were giving her the payment, Miss Dennis.
Was I giving, okay.
Mr. Dennis, I don't believe you were giving her the payment. With her history of not paying the mortgage, it doesn't sound right to me that if you're living there because your daughter's on drugs, that you would turn over your half of the mortgage payment to her so that
Well,
she would
I
pay the
thought
mortgage. Ms. Dennis, it doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't
Okay.
make sense, it's not true.
Okay.
So,
well, I thought she wasn't
believe,
paying the payment because she didn't have the money. She went through a hard time. She lost her partner.
Ms.
She
Dennis,
wasn't
I don't believe
working.
you that you were giving her the money. I don't believe that you were living in the house with her to take care of your grandchildren because she was going through a difficult time, according to you, on drugs, and you were handing her over money. I don't believe it.
Yeah,
well, I don't believe it.
After
I don't believe it.
Okay, after she signed the quitclaim deed, the only thing that changed is that I was now making the payment.
Miss Dennis, you have a house in which you have now $35,000 in equity for which you paid nothing.
Your Honor, I upgraded the downstairs.
Good for you.
I
Now you
upgraded.
own the
At
house.
the time I took the quitclaim deed, she had about $10,000 worth of equity. This has been since 2003 that she signed it over to me. In 2004, she used it as collateral to get her boyfriend out of jail.
Couldn't
now
have
that's
done
the
that.
only.
Couldn't have done that, my dear, if you had taken
But
the deed.
it still changes hands. The only thing is it doesn't give notice as far as I gave constructive notice because I'm living in the house.
Don't tell me about constructive notice. You did not give constructive notice to the bail bondsman. Because if you did, then the bail bondsman would not have
Well,
been.
yeah, I knew. I found out that about
you think
a year.
you think if you talk more than me,
No,
you're
no.
wrong on the law, Miss Dennis.
Of course, but
Yeah, of course.
A year
so
later,
if you're wrong on the law, and if you come to a court, somebody's going to say to you, you're wrong on the law. Now, sometimes you get a certain amount of sympathy because if you were out money, I would say,
I'm
you know,
out
I
so
have,
much
I
money.
have sympathy. Well, that's not what this is about. We're here on one particular issue. And the one issue that we're here to address is whether or not you are entitled to the money that you had to repay to take a lien off your house.
Right.
And I'm saying to you that it wasn't your house.
Okay.
Unless you record it, because that's what the law
Right.
requires.
Okay, let's
You're
say-
trying to speak over me. Now, Ms. Dennis, the law requires that with regard to real property, that is land, homes on land, that you record a deed so that the rest of the world knows that this is your property. The law does not require that with regard to personal property, the locket around your neck, the shirt that you're wearing, but the law requires that with regard to land.
Right.
You chose, for whatever reason, not to do that. She was absolutely entitled, therefore, during that period of time to use her house as collateral. Now, if you're looking for a sympathy factor, there is none, because according to you, the equity that she had built up until 2003 was $10,000. Now the equity is $35,000. So sympathetically, it's here. Morally, it's here.
Okay, I paid over $6,000 just to get it out of foreclosure when she was non-paying. Okay, I put in improvements that was way over the
Goodbye, Miss
$10,000.
Dennis. You're not getting anywhere. The case is dismissed.
Yeah, it's case number 458 on the calendar, the matter of Strayer versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Strayer, this lawsuit alleges that the two of you, who would live together, decided to separate at some point. But before you separated, you claim a loan that you made to Mr. Davis to pay off some court fines. You took out a loan. It had a healthy interest on it. And while Mr. Davis did, in fact, pay some of that loan, you claim he still owes some of the loan. You also claim that he owes you for some rent.
Yes, ma'am.
And for wrecking a car that you let him borrow.
Yes.
Mr. Davis says that you gave him the car. He did wreck the car, but you had given it to him, so if he wrecked it, that's his problem. That he paid rent while he lived with you, and that as far as the loan was concerned, he told you not to take out that loan because it had such a high interest rate. You went ahead and took it out anyway. You gave him only some of the money. The rest you used to pay off your bills, and he's paid back everything that he took, plus a reasonable rate of interest on the loan.
I don't agree with any of what he has said.
Let's deal with the simple things first. When did you have this car accident, sir?
I think it was in September of last year, 07.
Were you still living together at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
When did she give you the car?
We were actually together at the time. Her and her mother had went ahead and purchased me a car as a gift because, you know, at the time I just got my driver's license and, you know, they were nice enough to give me a car.
And whose name was the car?
The car was in Stephanie's name.
Then it's not a gift.
Well, I mean, but it was a gift, but the thing was is we were still together. We were going to do the insurance in her name. It would have been cheaper. And so then we broke up, and then we never had the title switched over at the time because the car was wrecked at that point.
Somebody makes you a gift. They give you a gift, and they give you a gift. They give you the car, they give you the title, they give you the everything.
I call it a gift because I was never asked to pay anything back. Then I didn't even know the price of the car or anything. That was never brought up. It wasn't an issue.
Just a second. At the time the car was wrecked, you were living together.
Yes, ma'am.
So she wouldn't necessarily ask you for the car back. It's her car in her name. You were driving it.
She gave me the car, Your Honor.
Well, tell me exactly what she said to you when she gave you the car.
She said, I mean, basically, I got you a car, baby. You know, here's a present. You know, in those, you know, pretty much in those same words. It was,
Okay.
You know,
go ahead, Ms. Strayer.
Present was never used. Gift was never used. I bought the car and as a favor let him use the car to get to and from work. It was after a little while agreed that the car would just end up his, but I have the paperwork here from when I bought the car. The original amount that I paid on the car was $297, which he paid me for, and then after that I still had to pay $850 for the car.
How much was the total price for the car?
The total price, $1,147.
And he paid $297?
He paid $297, and then
Does that sound familiar?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't you sound foolish?
No, I don't, Your Honor. She never discussed the price at all. Then she came to me and said that the dealer, that the only thing they owed was $300. They didn't say anything about $1,100. They didn't say anything about $1,500. They said it was $300, and that's what I gave her. I gave her $300 because there was a processing fee and all that stuff. It was through her mother, through her cleaners. It was a trade agreement with some dealership. That's all I know about it, and that's all she asked for was $300. And
what month was the car
I stick to my story.
purchased?
It was a gift.
In August 2007.
When was it totaled?
September 26, 2007.
How much did you pay on the car?
The $1,147.
Just a second. Did you pay $850 for the car?
Yes, we did.
You personally, he paid $297. Did you pay $850?
Yes, I did.
And within 3 weeks, the car was totaled. All right, so he owes you $850. Now, let's talk about the next to the easiest part, and that's the rent. While you were living together, I understand from reading your papers that he paid his half of the rent, and then you separated and put him out. He was going to go stay with his
sister.
That didn't work out. So according to you, he asked if he could come back and save some money so that he could get his own place, and you said yes. So far, is that right?
Almost.
Almost is close enough for me. And then he came back, and he stayed with you for a while, and it's that period of time that you're suing him for, right? Forget it. If you told him he could come back so he could save money, how was he going to save money if he's paying you rent? So to me, the concept was he would come back, he would sort of hang with you for a month or so, save up enough money for first and last or whatever it was, and then go on his way.
Yes, and I agree with that.
Fine, great.
Oh, okay.
Perfect. So far he owes you $850. Now let's hear about the loan. How much did he need to pay off his court fines?
$1,300, Your Honor.
Fines for what?
For a past traffic violation.
Traffic, moving violations.
Yes, ma'am.
What else?
For a misdemeanor in another city.
Misdemeanor what?
Assault.
What else?
It was also disturbing the peace.
What else?
And honestly, I'm not sure about the rest. It was actually four different cases, 4 different dates.
How many times have you had court fines?
None.
Really? No assaults, no disturbing the peace, no traffic violations, no nothing?
Ma'am. None.
That urge to nest is very strong. You've got to raise your sights a little bit. Do you understand?
Got that now.
Good. Okay. So you took out a loan with a very high interest rate. How much did you take out?
$2,500.
What'd you do with the rest of the money? He only needed $1,300.
The original amount that we thought we needed was about $1,500, but that was not including the interest that had accrued from the time we pulled the records until I went to actually pay them once I got the loan. So it ended up being more. Then on top of those fines, we also paid for his lawyer for the court date.
Is that
Which
right?
I paid for. I paid the lawyer, Your
I
Honor.
have it on
Just a
here.
second.
I have the
For
check
what?
stub.
What did you pay the lawyer with?
With my hard-earned money.
Show me a bank statement. You paid him by check, I'm sure.
No, it was cash.
No, you don't pay a lawyer by cash. Not if you're working. Are you working off the books?
No, ma'am.
So you work on the books. So you get a salary. They take out taxes. If you pay a lawyer,
Right.
you pay the lawyer by check.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And she was with me when I paid it cash.
I have the receipt right here made out to the lawyer
Can I see
for
it,
the
please?
full $250 amount that we had to pay him.
It was more than $250, Your Honor.
Well, then maybe she only paid part of it. What's your lawyer's name?
Olson.
That's it. Maybe his fee was more than $250.
I know it was.
So she only paid $250. You may have paid the
Which
rest.
I gave her the money for it, Your Honor.
Oh, well, that's not what you told me. You just
Right,
told
she
me
may have the
used.
receipts.
Just a second. Listen to me, sir. That's not what you just told me. You just told me she was right there when I paid the lawyer in cash. Right. Now you're telling me that she paid part of the lawyer, but you gave her money in cash.
When we went to court, she was there when I paid it. It was a payment. We had to pay half up front and then the final remainder when we went to court. The half up front was, we were still living together, whatever. I always gave her money. She just took care of everything. And that's why she has all the receipts and has her paperwork together.
You paid him half. She paid him the other half.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your excuse, Mr. Davis, is I told her not to take it out, and despite my advice, she took it out anyway. That's what you wrote here. That's what you wrote here.
And later today,
what you do when you have hardships is you say, I will faithfully send you $50 a month. You don't blow him off. That's unreasonable because then he gets irritated.
But he doesn't listen.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephanie Strayer says her ex-boyfriend Chris Davis owes for rent, court fines, and for totaling her car. Chris is countersuing for the return of his property and moving costs.
How much were the fines altogether? The fines without the lawyer?
I don't have the receipts because he has them. I don't have the exact amount. I know it was closer to $2,000 with the interest.
Do you have the receipts?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Why not?
I misplaced them, and it was not $2,000. The fines totaled up like $1,300-something, $1,400, and the remainder
Just
of
a
the
second.
thing.
A moment ago, you told me $1,300.
It was like 13-something. The exact amount, ma'am, I'm not quite sure of. All I know is we had discussed the remainder of the loan, the excess money. We had agreed that we were going to pay back the lender to reduce the interest on the loan. Then instead, that never even happened.
Just a second. Let's say between your lawyer and your loans, it was $2,000.
The loan had nothing to do with the lawyer, Your Honor. The loan went toward the fines. There's a remainder of the loan that had nothing to do with the lawyer.
How much?
It was like $1,200 still left over, and that went toward bills.
That's very hard because you just told me that your fines were close to $1,400.
I don't know the exact amount. I know it was 13-something.
How much does he owe you on the loan?
$2,678.51.
And what was the interest rate on this loan?
99%.
That's ridiculous.
It is.
You understand that?
Yes.
It's a ridiculous amount of money, but he used the money. And your excuse, Mr. Davis, is I told her not to take it out, and despite my advice, she took it out anyway.
That is not.
That's what you wrote here. That's what you wrote here.
That is not entirely true. I knew that she was going to be taking out a loan. I didn't know the interest rate on it until afterwards, and she said that, that she really had no choice, that she was up against the wall on the situation.
And you just should have said, I'm not taking the money from you. Go return it immediately so that you don't have any interest.
Right.
If you didn't want to take it. You chose to take it. You got to pay for it.
I did pay for it, Your Honor.
No, you didn't pay the whole thing.
Since the loan was taken out, I paid her every month for that loan, up until the point of about October.
Let me see the balance on the loan, please.
There's the
Did you ever take out a loan before?
Here's how much it was.
Did you ever take out a loan before?
Not this type of loan, no.
Any kind of loan?
I've taken a car loan.
Car loan,
yeah.
but this kind of loan?
No, yeah. That was the loan that I got to pay the... I ended up having to take a new loan out to pay that one off because I did not want to pay that ridiculous interest rate for the next 3 years. So the amount he would have ended up paying, if you see on there, is $9,700 and something. But because I actually paid it off with a loan from my parents, which they're even charging me an interest rate, but nothing like 99%, he's actually getting out about $7,000 off of it that he would have ended up having to pay.
Which I'm not responsible for the interest, Your Honor.
Yes,
I'm not.
you are.
I didn't ask her to take out 100% interest.
Then you shouldn't have
loan.
taken the money. You should have returned it to her.
Well,
You should have returned it to her.
You're right. I should have.
Well, you didn't.
But I paid the
She's not going to be behind the 8 ball for your traffic, assault, disturbing the peace, and whatever else you don't remember. That's not her problem.
I know it's
so
not her problem.
So far, you owe her $3,528. Now, you have a counterclaim. The rent you're forgetting about, because so am I. The rent you let him move in because you felt sorry for him. Now, you have a counterclaim. Mr. Davis, I have 1 minute to hear your ridiculous counterclaim. You want a barbecue grill that you left there?
My girl was left there, but that's not the main issue. When we first broke up, she said I could live with her for a while. I knew it wasn't going to work out, so I moved with my sister for a little while. It wasn't to move there at all. I came back within a very short period of time, moved back in with her. She said I could stay with her until Christmas, until her cousin moved in. We had a couple fights, a couple altercations where, I wasn't really welcome there anymore. and I knew that I had to leave anyway. But I didn't have enough money to get my own place, so she said, Chris, I'll give you 30 days to get your own place. And I said, thank you. And then within a week later, she told me I had to get out.
What happened?
Just altercations, fights. We just
Well,
couldn't get
then
along.
that's a very smart thing that you got out, sir, because with the disturbing the peace and assault and other things on your
that has
record, it
nothing to
would
do-
not have been a good idea for you to stay there if you were having altercations, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,528. Your counterclaim is dismissed because what you want is all the aggravation and the moving expenses that you had moving within that 30-day period. That was a very good idea. She did you a favor. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You know, I had nothing to prove. I had no paperwork, you know.
He got what he deserved,
She had her ducks lined in a row. I lost, so.
and I'll definitely never let that happen again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hall versus Hall. Step forward, please.
Ronnie Hall is suing his former daughter-in-law, Sylvia Hall, for the unpaid balance on a PT Cruiser. Ronnie says that Sylvia totaled the vehicle and pocketed the insurance money.
Mr. Hall, this young lady is your former daughter-in-law.
Yes, ma'am.
She was married to your son, and I think they have a child. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you sold her the car because she needed transportation. She was living away from you. She was living away from your son, and she needed some help.
Yes, ma'am.
She was supposed to sell her old car, which was not reliable, and give you the money from that sale, and then start to make payments on the car when she could.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
had agreed on a price, which was, I believe, $6,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Which was well below the book value of the car.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You turned the car over to her when, sir?
June of '06.
And you had the car for how long?
I had it for about a month.
And then you totaled it.
Yes, ma'am.
And you got an insurance payment for it.
I did.
How much?
A little over $6,000.
What do you mean a little over? Give
It
me
was-
the amount that you got.
I have a check here, less the deductible. So it was $5,942.82.
And you sold your old car.
I did.
And how much did you get for that?
It was roughly around $1,000.
Okay. So we acknowledge that you purchased the car. We acknowledge that he drove the car, turned it over to you, turned over all the paperwork, signed it over to you, even though you hadn't paid him a penny, relying on you to make payments, the first one being when you sold your old car. When did you sell your old car?
It was around July.
Was it before or after you totaled the car?
It was before.
Why didn't you send him the $1,000? That's what you had promised.
Well, the person that I sold the car to was a younger kid, and he was making payments on it. So I didn't get a substantial check. And I was behind on a lot of my bills. I separated from my husband in 2005, had to start all over, and I was severely behind. I was in an apartment that I couldn't afford. I couldn't afford to send Ronnie the money.
Does that mean that you just don't owe the money?
No, I know. I know I should have sent him money, but I just didn't have it at the time to give it to him.
Did you call him and tell him that?
I did. Anytime he called me, I would tell him what was going on in my life, and then I would tell him maybe if I can get things back in order, you know, maybe by July I'll have some money for you. And then things just kept happening. I lost my job. I got sick. I just got diagnosed with lupus. I've had all kinds of medical expenses to take care of. You know, single mom of a child. I was totally honest with him about everything.
But the problem is you got a check for $6,000.
Right. I had to buy another car.
Well, what happened when you totaled the car and got this check for $6,000? Did you call him and tell him?
He asked me how much I got for the car. I told him. I said, I'm shopping for another vehicle, one that's cheaper, and if I can get some money to you, I would. But we never agreed on a payment plan. He just said, worry about it whenever we worry about it. He said, worry later.
Well, that's not forgiving the loan. You said he forgave the loan.
Well, he said to use the money for the car and said that we'll worry about it later.
Fine. So he was letting you get caught up. So when did you start to make payments?
I made one payment whenever I could, and that was the $200.
When was that?
That was the beginning of this year sometime, like in March.
I mean, are you telling me that you couldn't send him $20 a month?
He wouldn't accept it. I tell him that my mom, he had a conversation with my mother and said that I can send him $50 a month. He didn't want that. He said that's not enough. I can't afford anything else.
That conversation just happened. She called me the day she received the papers and said, you need to call my mother immediately. I wrote the number down. I called her mother. And the reason I wrote the number down and called her mother was several times during the time that I was trying to get payments on this vehicle, she said she was going to try to get a loan from her mother. So it was under my assumption that when she said, take this number and call my mom, that her mother was going to pay me the money. And that's why I immediately wrote the number down and called her mother. All her mother said to me for 45 minutes was that I needed to forgive this loan. That was the entire conversation.
Didn't say anything to you about paying $50 a month?
No.
If she had said to you, I will faithfully pay you $50 a month, what would you have said?
Great.
He called me several times at work
over the process of this past year, and I would be at work. I couldn't speak to him about the issues because I was at work. I had clients in front of me. I'd say, Ronnie, I can't pay you right now. I have this and this going on. I will pay you as soon as I can.
Yeah, but he wanted a time. Miss Hall, you know, you're very sympathetic, but you also have to understand you made an agreement with him.
I understand.
And he's not a party to your problems. You have the father of your child who may be a party to your problems. You have a mother who may be a party to your problems. But he made a business arrangement with you, and he was very flexible with you. And I don't see any good faith basis to alter the agreement that you had, which was that you would pay him $1,000 when you sold the car, your old car, which you didn't do. You didn't even send him the payments that the young man was making to you when you sold him the car, which you should have, because you used that money for other things. And then when you got this windfall from the insurance company for a car that you never paid for, you spent the money. You bought another car, and then you spent the rest.
I didn't just spend it frivolously. I have a daughter to take care of. I have medical bills. I'm just saying I've had hardships that I couldn't pay him the money.
I understand that. What you do when you have hardships is you say, I can send you and will faithfully send you $50 a month. I know it should be more, but I will faithfully send you $50 a month. You don't blow him off. That's unreasonable, because then he gets irritated.
But he doesn't listen. That's the thing. It's like he'd call me at work. I'd tell him whenever I would be able to.
No, you told him I couldn't talk to him at work because I had clients in front of me.
I know. Well, I would tell him that. I'd say, I'm going to try and send you some money.
Did you call
at
him
this
back?
time.
Listen, did you say to him, Miss Hall, I can't talk to you right now, Ronnie. I'll call you lunchtime. I'll call you at home in the evening.
I didn't.
You did not.
I did not.
You did not, because you were just as happy to get him off your back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000, which is all that I could award you, yes, sir. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may Ms. Peterson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
All right, Mr. Ari, the defendant is the now ex-boyfriend of your now current girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that when he found out that you were involved with his then girlfriend, he vandalized your car. Mr. Peterson says, I didn't do it.
Right.
When did he vandalize your car, sir?
March 23rd, but it happened, I didn't find out. It happened until the 24th, the following morning.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding him vandalizing your car.
That day we got home from work.
Who's we?
Me and Jennifer. I went to her apartment. It was probably around 11 to 12 that night. When he came, I was inside with her sister watching television. I heard them arguing. The door comes swinging open. I see her flying to the side, and he comes rushing in. And at the time, I'm lying on the ground watching television. They just moved into the apartment, and he runs up with his hands balled in the fist, facial mannerism, just like, you know, very aggressive, and I can tell he wanted, you know, to fight or something like that. So I stood up.
Had you ever seen him before?
No, I never saw him in
Never
my
met.
life.
So you
Never
stood
met
up.
the guy. So, yeah.
And when you stood up, what happened?
Oh, when I stood up, his whole mannerism changed real quick. I was like, what's the problem, you know? And at this time, I started taking off my watch, and he looks at me, he's like, oh, I just want to ask you a question. So we walk outside.
What were you taking your watch off for?
Well, you know, I want to know what time it was, man, you know? So.
Why were you taking your watch off?
Well, it was a nice watch, and I just didn't want to mess it up. So,
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, he follows me outside, and he asked me, what's the deal between you and Jennifer? And I asked him, I was like, well, do you know who I am? He was like, no. And I was like, well, I don't know you either, and is Jennifer your girlfriend? And he kind of like paused and hesitated. I was like, is Jennifer your girlfriend? And he was like, well, I was like, well, dude, you know, I don't know you don't know me. You have to ask her. And I left him out there, and I went back inside.
Had Jennifer told you she had a boyfriend?
She told me that she broke up with him around December, January. That, like, he was assaultive, would hit her and stuff like that. She just got tired of it.
So she told you at the time she invited you over that she didn't have a boyfriend?
Yes. We'd known each other for probably 2 or 3 weeks before I ever been asked to come over to her house. It had been like a month before I even came over there. I started working where we work at in January.
Now tell me about the vandalism to your car.
Okay, well, after I left him outside, he did come back in again. He came back in and told her that he wanted to grab his stuff. And she was like, well, you don't have anything in here, but whatever, take whatever you want and leave. After he went upstairs, taking whatever, he was up there for a while. When she went back up there, they started arguing again. I got tired of it, and I got up and I was like, look, is there a problem? And that's when he left. He finally left. And then Jennifer and her sister watched him through the window.
Don't tell me what they saw.
I'm sorry, man.
Jennifer, what did you see?
After he went outside, my sister and I were looking out the window. At that point, I seen him like walk around the car, and it looked like he was just dragging his finger along the sides of the car. And he just walked around the whole vehicle, and then I seen him just walk away and get in his truck and leave.
Did you tell Mr. Ari what you had seen?
No, I didn't tell Sean at that time because I didn't want them to fight any longer. And my little sister was there, and I didn't want her exposed to this. And I knew how upset Sean was about the whole thing, and how much more he would be upset if he knew that Billy was anywhere around his car.
Well, when did he find the damage to his car?
That following morning, ma'am.
Did you stay over that night?
Yeah, she asked me to, because she said she was scared. So
And when you went out in the morning, what did you find?
a nice little decoration around my car.
Can I see it, please? You have
Yes, ma'am.
pictures. Let's see. Did you speak to him about it?
Right after we called the cops and Sean and the cops left, I received a phone call from a private number on my cell phone, and it was Billy, and he was asking me, how's your friend's car? How's your friend's car? And saying, like, if I was to say anything, it's going to happen to my car, and that I was his and I would always be his and no one else's. I hung up, and he continued to call me back on private numbers, and I went ahead and called the cops.
Okay, I'll hear you.
On March 23rd, I went over to see Jennifer Gifford, who is now my ex-girlfriend. She was my girlfriend at the time. We talked about our relationship for the simple fact that I had just helped her move into this home. It was actually supposed to be me moving into the home, but it didn't turn out that way as her sister moved in. At that time, we were just discussing our relationship. She asked me what was going on. I asked her if everything was okay between us. Basically, I was expressing, my love for her. She seemed pretty apprehensive to really speak to me at that point. She seemed just not her usual self. I dated her for about three and a half years.
You knew before that things were not right, Mr. Peterson, because you were supposed to, according to you, move into this apartment together. She had been in this apartment for a month, and you weren't living with her. So you knew something wasn't right a month ago.
Well, I have a child.
How old is the child?
3 years old, and that was a complication at hand.
So you knew that things weren't right between the two of you for at least a month.
She actually lived with me in my home, and things were good. We didn't have any complications.
When she moved into her own place and you weren't living with her, you knew that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you go over there for at such a late hour?
She received a diamond ring from me. March, when I went over the 23rd.
When did she receive a diamond ring from you?
Christmas.
Okay.
Okay. When I went over there the 23rd of March, discussing issues in regards to our relationship, this gentleman here, the plaintiff, exited the doorway asking me who I was at that time. Now we got myself, this gentleman, and her outside in a very awkward situation. I asked her who was he. She didn't respond. He asked me who I was, and I told him.
What did you tell him?
I said, I'm her boyfriend. Who are you?
Why you went over there so late, sir?
Well, because usually I stay the night there, and I had stayed the night there like several days prior to this circumstance.
Did you take the engagement ring?
Yes.
Get to what happened when you left.
She actually, during the time that we spoke outside, all three of us, me and him didn't come to any terms of agreement whatsoever. We didn't even discuss anything. I asked her if this was the way it's going to be, if I can get my belongings. She allowed me to enter the house. I went and got all my belongings. I had shoes, pajamas, had the ring. I walked downstairs holding all my belongings. And this gentleman was waiting there by the door. And when I walked by him with my stuff, he basically, quote unquote, said, the next time we meet, it ain't gonna be nice. Closing the door at that time, slamming it, saying, it was an indicator like, you're not welcome here. So at that point, I got in my vehicle. I left home. I heard from Mrs. Gifford the next morning. She contacted me. She said, Sean is accusing you of messing up his car. I said, I didn't do anything like that, okay? And you should know me better than that. We were together 3 years. I never did anything like that. So basically, that's how it went. And
who do you think keyed his car?
I don't know. It's a new neighborhood, so I really wasn't sure. Like I said, I'd made sure that, when I moved her in.
Who are you?
Excuse me, I'm Billy's mother. My name is Anna Peterson.
Do you know anything about this case?
I know some. Jennifer Gifford called me that next day, and she said, I think Billy keyed my friend's car. And I says, why didn't you call us and say, Billy's over here, there's a problem? She had no response. I replied, you know us for 3 years. You know we don't condone any kind of negative behavior. She proceeded to cry and say it wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I said, no, Jennifer, you've been in my family for 3.5 years. I've come to love you, and it isn't supposed to be like this. Okay? So prior to that, the day before, she had come to my home with my grandchild. Now, if they're not a couple, what is she doing with my grandbaby? She's come to my home the day prior to this happening, this incident. She has my granddaughter. I sit down and we have a heart-to-heart talk. I said, Jennifer, how are things with you and Billy? She says, we are working things out. I said, are you dating a certain individual? Not this gentleman. She replied, no. So at that point, I didn't feel there was a problem at all because they had still been seeing each other. She had been with us in March.
Jennifer, I have a question for you, dear.
Yes.
You didn't tell this gentleman, uncross your hands. You didn't tell Mr. Ari
Yes, ma'am.
about what happened that night. He stayed all night.
Correct.
Correct? Now, private number called,
Yes.
and you say you spoke to Mr. Peterson.
Correct.
And then he kept calling.
Mm-hmm.
And you kept taking the phone calls, or did you let it go to voicemail?
I took a couple and then I stopped. I called the cops. They came and took a report and went and spoke to him and told him he needed to stop calling me and that if he came back to my house, he would be arrested for trespassing.
Did the police tell you to stop calling her?
Yes. They contacted me through the telephone, and they said that Mrs. Gifford has stated that you and her are not going to be in a relationship anymore, so please do not have any more contact or show up at her home. I said, yes, sir, but not a problem.
What would make her call the police, Mr. Peterson?
I believe it lays down a foundation in which there's no pertinent evidence in which can be held against me in this predicament. I mean, given the circumstance at hand, I've been accused of vandalizing a car, and she asked me the next morning if I was okay.
Listen to me, Mr. Peterson. There are only two people that could have vandalized that car. One was you, and one was Jennifer. Now, if Jennifer had a sick pathology, she could have said, listen, when he's sleeping, I'm going to go out, I'm going to vandalize his car, I'm going to key his car, and then I'm going to be able to get rid of Mr. Peterson once and for all because he's going to stay away from me. She would have to be pretty nutty to do that. But those are the only two people, in my judgment, who are going to do it. Her sister wasn't going to do it. Her sister doesn't care whether she's seeing you, whether she's seeing him. She doesn't care. I just don't see her doing that, Mr. Peterson.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I told them they could go down there and play with the foosball table, but they were to not touch anything that was marks and to stay away from the motorcycle.
Any of you children touch the motorcycle?
No, ma'am.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sean Ari says his girlfriend's ex, Billy Peterson, vandalized his car by keying it. Billy admits he was angry, but claims he didn't do it.
You certainly had the opportunity to key his car. And after what you discovered that evening when you arrived at her house, there's no question you had the inclination to key his car. You weren't going to fight him because after he stood up, you figured you weren't going to get the best of this deal.
Probably not.
Probably not. So what's the next best thing to a young man's heart is his car. What kind of an estimate did you get to fix your car, sir?
The cheapest one was to cover up just the scratch without painting it, the whole car.
So, Mr. Peterson, in civil cases, courts have to decide, not beyond a reasonable doubt, that would be a criminal case as to whether you were guilty of vandalism, but whether there is more evidence than not, by a preponderance of the evidence, more evidence than not, as to whether or not I believe you keyed his car. Mr. Peterson, I believe you keyed his car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,200. That's all.
Thank you,
Parties are excused. You may step out.
When you date someone for a while, they may end up cheating on you. It's basically what happened to me, and they kind of got together and orchestrated the plan.
We didn't start dating until just recently, so, and that happened in March.
He was threatening me and making it a jokingly manner of how my friend's car was.
She got caught, and now she don't know what to do about it.
Where I'm from, we don't scratch guys' cars, so, me and him aren't from the same town.
I'm just glad it's done and over with and we don't have to deal with him anymore.
Like I said, it just goes to show, be careful who you date.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mason versus Fleck. Step forward.
21-year-old Mark Mason is suing his mother's friend, Michael Fleck, for damage to a motorcycle and snowboard. Mark says Michael's children are the culprits.
Is this your mother?
Yes, it is.
Just step up, please. How old are you, Mr. Mason?
I'm 21.
Where do you live?
I live at my dad's and my mom's house, kind of between the both of them.
When did this incident happen with your motorcycle and snowboard?
February of this winter.
And where were you living in February?
On the weekends, I was staying at my mom's house, and during the week at my dad's because it's closer to school.
Father have a house?
Yes, he does.
But you stored a motorcycle and a surfboard in the basement at your mother's house.
It was a motorcycle and a snowboard.
Snowboard.
Yep.
Now, Miss Mason, how do you know Mr. Fleck?
We dated a few years ago.
And he came to visit you in February?
Correct.
With his 3 children?
Yes.
What was the weather like the day he came to visit?
It was winter, so in Minnesota and Wisconsin, snowy and cold.
So the children were playing indoors?
Correct.
When did they ask you if they could go down to play in the basement?
I had shown them a tour of the home, and they saw Mark has a foosball table down there, and they had seen the foosball table and wanted to go down and play with the foosball table.
So what did you say?
I told them they could go down there and play with the foosball table, but they were to not touch anything that was Mark's and to stay away from the motorcycle.
And you told that to 3 little children?
Correct.
And then you were upstairs entertaining Mr. Fleck?
We had ordered pizza, so we were waiting for the pizza to get delivered.
Okay. This is your lawsuit, Mr. Mason.
Yep.
The lawsuit wants Mr. Fleck to pay for damage allegedly done by his 3 children when they were playing with a box downstairs in the basement, playing in a big old box. And they bumped up against either your snowboard or your bicycle and caused damage to your bicycle.
That's correct.
Right? He's not going to pay for that.
Whose responsibility would it be?
Your mother's.
Why is that?
You were storing items in your mother's house. She had the opportunity to say to Mr. Fleck's children, do not go down to the basement. They would not have gone down to the basement without her permission. If they hadn't been down there playing, then the property would not have been damaged. And your mother had total control over that.
Even though it was an accident on their behalf, it's not their responsibility?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, I would like to say that at first, Mr. Fleck agreed to pay for the damages upon getting an estimate, and he even listed me as a debt on claiming bankruptcy.
Did you declare bankruptcy, sir?
I'm in the process now, ma'am, yes.
How much did Mr. Mason tell you that the damage was to his property?
The first figure I received was $250.
When did you receive that figure?
Say 2 weeks after this incident occurred.
Did you tell him that you would pay the $250?
No, ma'am. I said I would talk to my children.
Then why did you list him as a creditor?
I was told to do so by my attorneys.
You mean any possible person that you might owe money to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you originally tell Mr. Fleck, Mr. Mason, that the damage was $250?
Yeah, I called around to get
The
estimates.
answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
Then why are you suing him for $877.46?
Because once I went to the dealer and got the estimates, that's what they came back as. That was my estimate at first. Me, not the dealer.
Did you tell that to Mr. Fleck?
I did. That was just some online researching that I did.
I don't think he owes you anything. And he says he didn't agree to pay you. He said he just listed you in his bankruptcy because in the event that you got a judgment against him, he wanted to be covered. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Any of you children touch the motorcycle?
No, ma'am.
Were you playing in a big cardboard box?
I was.
That's what happens when kids play.
So they're not responsible for their damages?
Your mother gave them permission to go downstairs, sir. Your mother gave them permission to go downstairs. And if what happened down there was an accident, should have been covered by your homeowner's insurance if you had it. Did you have homeowner's insurance?
No, ma'am.
Should have. Or else your mother's going to fix it. She should not have let Mr. Fleck's children go downstairs if your property was downstairs and she knew it was valuable. You got it?
406 on the calendar in the matter of Coles versus Plunkett. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
Miss Coles, how old are you?
19 years old.
Do you work?
Not at this time, I don't.
What do you do?
I was a student. I'm not doing anything right now.
Who do you live with?
My mother.
How do you know them?
I know Kunta Plunkett. I met him at a bar in the casino.
What's his first name?
Kunta.
Who was that?
That's me.
How old are you?
25.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a millwright.
What does that mean?
It's like a machinist.
You get paid a weekly salary?
Yes.
What's your salary?
About $700.
And what do you do for a living?
Construction worker.
You his brother?
Yes.
How old are you?
28 years old.
How did you meet her?
We met at the casino last year.
Did you go out with her?
Yeah.
For how long?
About 7 months.
Did you go out with her exclusively?
Yeah.
So you didn't see anybody else?
I did not, no.
Okay. Now, Ms. Coles, it's your claim that these two gentlemen scammed you out of almost $4,000. And I want you to tell me how that happened.
Okay, it came about that he asked me one day.
Who's he?
Kunta asked me if I had a checking account.
I want you to look at me when you speak. If you had a checking account.
If I had a checking account. And I told him yes. And then he said he knew a way that I can get free stuff. And he told me how it was done.
Well, why don't you explain to me what he said to you?
He said that...
I want you to look at me when you're explaining this.
I am. He said that we could get free stuff by me writing my name in different signatures on checks, take them to the stores, write the checks.
What do you mean he told you write your name differently on the checks?
Like write your name on the checks differently.
So that you can then later say that it wasn't your signature?
Yes. Go to the bank after the checks went through.
Just a minute.
I'm sorry.
Okay. What were you going to tell them at the bank?
Let the bank contact me after the checks went through. And when the bank contacted me, let them know that I didn't write the checks. And he made it sound real good.
You mean like it was a good way of...
Like the bank would pay for everything. I wouldn't pay for anything. I was stupid. I mean...
Stupid? You knew that it was wrong. You knew it was wrong.
Not yes.
What do you mean not yes? What does that mean, not yes?
I mean, yes, I knew it was wrong, but I guess I wasn't thinking at the time, Your Honor.
Well, you better start thinking.
I did, right after I mean, it was too late.
So you went shopping with the two of them?
Yes, he asked me to buy some stuff for his brother, Arthur. His brother would pay me back.
No, he didn't.
Yes, ma'am, yes.
No, did you write checks for Arthur stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you wrote checks for Arthur stuff, it was your intention, Miss Coles, that the bank was paying.
But he told me he would pay me. No, he did.
Miss Coles,
okay.
Let me make this clear to you. Already you told me that you were a thief. Shh, please, this is not funny. Already you explained to me in detail why you were a thief. I don't want you to be a liar, too.
I'm not.
Because listen to me carefully. What you just told me, Miss Coles, was that you went along with a scheme to defraud the bank by writing your signature in different ways so that later you could disclaim that you ever wrote those checks, so that the bank would think that somebody got a hold of your checks.
Yes, ma'am.
And forged your signature so that he wasn't going to pay you back for the stuff because you weren't going to pay for the stuff to begin with. The bank was going to pay for it.
But, Your Honor, they told me he would pay me. He said he would give me something. And after it was done that weekend, I realized that what I did was wrong. And I went to the bank. I called an attorney. I told her everything that happened. And she advised me to go to my bank and talk to my bank manager. That's exactly what I did. And I stopped myself from getting in any more trouble. And I paid $3,363 of it off, and I'm still paying for it. And all I want is for them to pay for the merchandise that they have. I want them to take responsibility of what they did.
What they did was make a fool out of you.
Yes.
According to you, what they did was make a fool out of you, but you were a thief. You were a forger.
But I don't have a background of thief. I'm just a college student. I mean, I was doing good. I just want to go back to school and get my education. I don't have a background of stealing at all.
You did?
Yes, I did. And I learned my lesson. I just
all right, now let me hear from you, the Plunkett boys.
Who you want to talk first? Who you want to talk to first?
Whoever feels like talking to me.
Okay, well, first of all, her case is crazy. Well, she's crazy. But that weekend, she had told me she had cheated on me, and then I was like, well, I don't know about if I want to be with her or not. So I think that Friday, we ended up going shopping. She didn't say nothing about...
I don't want to hear from you now. And?
And, you know, prior to that, I was...
Take a look at my eyes when we're speaking. Put your papers down.
I'm sorry.
Did you ever have a discussion with her, Mr. Plunkett, with regard to using various signatures on checks in order to defraud a bank?
No.
You think she made that up all by herself?
She must have. She's crazy.
No. Well, you were with her for 7 months, sir. When did you decide she was crazy?
Well, she looked up my criminal record. She was...
Was there a lot to look up, Mr. Plunkett?
I mean...
Please!
It doesn't matter. I mean,
no, it does. It matters.
That's my stuff.
Mr.
I mean...
Plunkett, pay careful attention to my questions.
Yeah.
You had been arrested previously in what year?
92.
For what?
Drug selling.
Was that the first time, Mr. Plunkett, that you were arrested? Yeah. Shh, quiet.
No.
Let's take from 1996, Mr. Plunkett, forward. How many arrests do you have after 1996?
I had several. I mean, I really can't tell you. It was like minor stuff, driving on suspension and
No,
stuff
I'm
like
not
that.
talking about driving with a suspended license. I'm talking about other things.
Felonies?
Felonies or misdemeanors?
That drug charge is probably the only felony that I had on there.
May I say something? I have a
Just
copy.
You have a copy of this
Yes,
arrest
ma'am.
record? Maybe it'll refresh his recollection. Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
That's how crazy she is.
I have pulled a copy.
That's not crazy.
I have both of theirs, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at that.
Okay.
Make it much easier for me. Oh, it's almost a novel.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't like you, Mr. Plunkett. The fact that you are not a nice person, the fact that you have absolutely no moral fiber, the fact that evidently it runs in the family because you got a brother who suffers from the same affliction. Total losers.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Serena Cole says her ex-boyfriend, Kunta Kinte Plunkett, and his brother, Arthur, conned her out of thousands. Serena says the brothers were using her to run a bad check scam.
What were the arrests for false information, Arthur?
Giving the wrong name or something.
Or something.
I don't deny nothing, you know. I know I'm not an angel. I don't deny.
Sure aren't an angel, sir.
You know, I don't deny me having a history or whatever. I don't know the plaintiff.
Why, if you don't really know her, sir, why would you let her purchase things for you?
Well, things that I received from the plaintiff, I was under intention that it came from my brother as a housewarming gift. I had just purchased a house. I didn't ask
What did you purchase for Arthur?
It's right here, ma'am.
Let me see what you purchased for Arthur.
It's both of theirs.
I want to see what you purchased for Arthur.
For me, she purchased a table and a mattress set from the Salvation Army.
You just said to me 2 moments ago she didn't purchase anything from me. Anything that I got from my brother.
Yeah.
Now you say to me she purchased mattresses and a table for you. Were you with her when she purchased it?
Yeah, we were together.
Yes.
My mother was with me also, and
I didn't ask whether your mother was there. I said, were you there with her when she purchased it?
yes.
So then you knew it didn't come from your brother.
No, I was under the intention that it did come from my brother.
I don't know what you mean you were under the intention. I have no idea what that means. Does that mean you were under the impression?
I was under the impression.
That's
Right.
better.
Exactly. When I just purchased the house, I didn't have a bed. And me and my brother had discussed I was needing a bed. He said, well, okay, I know where you can get a cheap bed. It may be used, but it's something for you to sleep on.
Yeah.
And so I'm the only one that had a truck, and she needed a ride. He was there with me also. And so he picked out the bed. It was just a used Salvation Army bed.
Who paid for it?
Serena.
Look him.
Yeah. Serena.
Why would she do that for you?
Because she was my brother's woman. Ex-woman.
So before you were mistaken, Arthur, when you said that anything that you got came from your brother, you actually were with her when she bought you a bed and a table.
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, we were all together.
No, we were not.
Can't you just say yes?
Yes.
So you were together and she purchased it. Now you're telling me she purchased it for you because she's your brother's woman.
Yes.
So you know that she's your brother's woman.
Yes.
You know her well?
Yeah, I seen her at my brother's house. And
Have you ever been to her house?
yeah, I've been to her house.
So you know a little bit about her.
Fairly.
What does she do for a living?
She was a student, and
She was a student.
yeah, and
Right.
She
was a student.
Yeah, and some odd jobs or telemarketing, whatever she done.
And she lived at home, is that right?
Yes.
You're in construction. Where do you think she got the money to buy you a mattress?
According from what I heard, they were going to buy a truck, and it was his money included with hers.
For what you heard from whom?
From my brother. I just heard them talking about it. So I'm under the assumption that their money were together.
So why wouldn't your brother write a check out of his checking account?
Probably because of the truck didn't go through. I guess he was getting his money out of it.
You think that your brother, who's got an arrest record as long as Bird's arm, is going to take the money that he earns as being a machinist and give it to this 19-year-old to put in her bank account so that she could write checks? Is that what you think?
Yes.
He's going to take his money and give it to her?
Because
he's just a good guy.
I thought they were purchasing a vehicle together.
So you think that your brother took the money that he was earning and gave it to her and said, honey, I want you to put this money in your checking account that's only in your name. Look at him. He can't even. He said, "Me, I'm not that stupid." Huh? But you think he's that stupid.
Well,
What I want to know is, you think your brother is that stupid? Because he doesn't think he's that stupid.
Right. I don't go to the store and say, "Hey, let me see your checks," or "Let me see whose name is on it."
That's not what I'm asking you, sir.
Yeah.
You're not following what I'm asking you, Arthur.
Yeah, I never knew whose name was on it.
I'm asking you whether you think your brother is that stupid that he would take his money and give it to her and say, "You put it in the bank in an account in your name."
No, I don't think he would give you something for just her name.
That's what I want. So he wouldn't be that stupid.
Right, he wouldn't be.
Okay. So if he's not that stupid, then he would have a joint checking account
Yeah,
with her, right?
something joint.
So that when you went to the mattress place, he would have written a check.
Possible.
But he didn't.
Not that store.
Not that store. Where did he write a check
But
for you?
see,
sir?
the salvation-
Arthur, in what store did your brother write the check?
He has a checking card, a check card.
Debit card.
Debit cards.
In what store did he use his debit card for you?
For himself, I've seen him use it on gas. I've seen him use it on.
She's talking about this.
Well, this incident, he doesn't have a habit of just going out buying things for me. It's just that
Arthur,
that case.
Arthur, your primary language is English, is it not?
Yes.
I am going to ask you the question again, because sometimes it takes you a couple of minutes to get it. On the day when you went shopping with the plaintiff and your brother to get stuff for your house, in what store did your brother use his debit card for you?
For me, none.
That's an answer, Arthur. You see how easy that is? Yeah. Now, you would like me to believe, sir, that these were gifts that she purchased for you because you found out, according to you, that she had cheated on you. God forbid, because you've never cheated on her, right? And she wanted to make that up to you by going out and spending thousands of dollars in this scheme that she concocted all by herself, because she's that smart, right?
Evidently.
Where's all this stuff?
The stuff she purchased after finding this out, the total of mine came to about $200. I don't know where $1,500.
Okay, so it came to $200. So what'd you do?
I still got the bed and the table.
Did you give her back the money?
No, I didn't. It was a gift. I wasn't supposed to.
Well, then you found out that she had this elaborate scheme. Let's say it was her scheme. And she went to the bank immediately and she said, "Listen, I don't want to get into any more trouble."
Yeah.
So why didn't you just give back the stuff?
Well, I talked to her lawyer, and first it was like $1,200. Then it's just been going up, you know. So from there, I seen myself getting deeper and deeper, and I called my lawyers, and they told me if she doesn't have contract, if she doesn't have it on paper, deal with that.
And what'd you do with all the stuff she got for you?
Well, I got it. She brought me this shirt. She brought me these shoes. I mean, she brought my kids some stuff. I mean, she gave it to me as a gift. I mean, what I'm supposed to do with it? I ain't giving it back.
When was the last time you were arrested?
Probably about 98, maybe longer than that.
No, you're right, 98. You're more recent than that.
Yes. Never been involved with no check cashing, schemes.
No, crack, cocaine, robbery, firearms, knuckles, brass knuckles, possession by a convicted felon, filing false information, controlled substance.
All before the age I was 18?
No. You were arrested in 2002 on the charge of assault.
Yeah.
And how old? You told me you were 28, is that right?
Yes. That's domestic violence.
I mean, that doesn't count.
Yeah, of course.
Miss Coles?
Yes.
I've had a rather enjoyable time with these two. I will tell you that. They are two total losers.
I know that. I understand that.
Total losers.
Yeah, right.
Will always be.
Yes.
And there isn't much of a question in my mind that I believe that this whole scheme was probably Sir Lancelot's idea.
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
Miss Coles, they're not going to pay a penny. You did it!
But they have the merchandise, Your Honor. I just want them to pay for the merchandise that they have. I have learned my... I learned my lesson.
Good.
I'm paying for...
Good. I'm glad you learned your lesson.
And I just want them to pay for what they have, Your Honor. I don't want them...
But for you, they wouldn't have anything, madam.
Thank you.
But I have a letter from my lawyer stating that they said they would reimburse me, Your Honor.
Let me take a look at the letter. Let me see what the letter says.
Is my signature on that letter?
What?
Is my signature going to be on that letter? I don't think it is.
Close your mouth. I don't like you, Mr. Plunkett.
Why,
The fact that I'm teaching her a lesson, you're a loser. Your
Thank
brother's
you.
a loser.
Thank you.
That doesn't necessarily mean she has to be a loser forever. She's 19 years old. But for the fact that she embarked on a scheme to defraud the bank by herself, she wouldn't be in this pickle. She didn't have to listen to you. Somebody says to you, jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, let's see how it feels. They do it, then they're stupid. You're not responsible, she's responsible. The fact that you are not a nice person, the fact that you have absolutely no moral fiber, the fact that evidently it runs in the family because you got a brother who suffers from the same affliction, that's not something the law can deal with. Where's the letter?
I left it in my case.
Well, I don't.
I'm
It
sorry.
doesn't- it really doesn't make any difference.
goodness.
It's a very tough lesson, Miss Coles. By the way, when you came home, you told somebody about what you had done?
Yes.
Who did you tell?
My sister.
And your sister said, you're going to go to jail. You better take care of this. Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right.
And I did take care of it. I was working 4 jobs to get out of this. And I just want them to pay for some of it. I mean,
That would be the right moral thing for them to do, to pay for some of it. That would be the right moral thing for them to do. They are amoral people.
I just want them to
They
take
are without
responsibility.
morals, Miss Cole. And you should have known that because you're not a stupid girl. Somebody tells you to fake your signature so that the bank is going to pay out money, and then you're not going to have to pay because you're going to fill out an affidavit that says that's not my signature, when in fact it was your signature. My 10-year-old grandson would know that that's fraud. What do you want from the courts? You cannot come into a civil court and say, I want what's right to happen, because in order to do that, you have to come in with what they call in the law clean hands. You have to come in and say, I did nothing wrong. They did something wrong. I have clean hands. They have dirty hands. Somebody who doesn't come into court with clean...
Crum versus Granberry Foltz Williams. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Crum, somehow you are related to these 3 young ladies.
Yes, Yvonne Foltz is my aunt. And
Who's the aunt? Yes?
And Jaleesa and Janika are my cousins.
Are they your children?
Yes.
For some reason, there was a falling out with your aunt and her children, and it is your claim that one or all of them were responsible for keying your car.
Yes.
When was your car keyed?
December 10th in the parking lot of Walmart.
Who had driven the car there?
Yvonne was driving her vehicle.
Who had driven the keyed car?
Oh, I drove my car.
What time did you get to the parking lot?
I'd say I was probably there around 9:30ish because I just got off of work. And
9:30
in the morning. AM.
What kind of work do you do?
I do medical assistant.
Who was driving your car?
Your Honor, at that point in time, I was at work.
You were at work?
Yes, ma'am.
And what kind of car do you have?
2008 Kia Rio, black 4-door.
And where do you work?
At that time, I was working at Target Distribution in Woodbury, Minnesota.
You still working there?
No, ma'am.
Who was your supervisor?
My supervisor there was, I forgot her name because I'm not working there anymore due to all this stuff that's going on now.
I'll wait. Remember who your supervisor was and the phone number.
I don't have that with me right now.
We'll wait. Go get it.
Excuse me.
How old are you?
22.
And you?
17.
Where do you work?
Don't work right now.
What do you do?
I'm looking for employment.
What were you doing on December 10th, 2010?
I was at my cousin's house.
Cousin's house where?
In St. Paul, Minnesota.
And where is this Walmart parking lot?
It's in Blaine, Minnesota.
How far is that from St. Paul?
Like 50 minutes.
How did you get to St. Paul?
My cousin.
Came to pick you up?
Yes.
How long did you stay there?
I was there for like 3 days.
From when to when?
Saturday, and
Date?
I don't know what date it was because December 10th never happened at Walmart, and the 10th would have been a Monday.
I just asked you what date. You were visiting
I'm not sure.
with your cousin. I didn't ask you. December 10th did in fact happen. It was a day.
Yeah, I went over there before December 10th, and it was that weekend, so it was a Saturday. What I'm saying is December 10th, I don't know the date, but it was days before that.
Who went with you?
My sister and my daughter. She was suspended that day, so that's also why she was with me.
She was suspended. How old is your daughter?
No, my sister.
Oh, your sister
we were
was
together because
suspended.
it was a weekday and she was suspended from school. So we were together in St. Paul.
How old is your daughter?
She'll be 4 on April 21st.
Ms. Crum, can you tell me whether this was a trip that you had planned to make to Walmart?
Yes, indeed it was. I was going to go to Walmart to go shopping for Christmas shopping for my kids.
Yes.
And as I was on my way there, I saw Yvonne car following me.
Just a second. You have the phone number?
Yes, ma'am.
And the name of your supervisor?
Jill.
Just hand it to me. Thank you. So you were on your way to Walmart and you passed the defendant's car.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That's when I seen her make a really quick right turn behind me. So I kept going, and at the time I'm on the phone with my mom too, saying like, oh, I see your sister and she's following me. And she's like, just keep going to where you're going. And I drove to Walmart, which was probably about a couple blocks from there. And once I got there, I noticed they were still behind me. So then I hurry up and parked.
Over there. Look at me.
So I hurry up and parked. And once I parked, they parked only about, I'd say, a few cars from me.
Who was in the car?
It was Yvonne, Janika, and Jaleesa.
Go ahead.
So anyhow, I parked, and they were still behind me, and my mom was on the phone, so I'm like, okay, they still here. Why are they here? So she said, just go into the Walmart. And before I get out of my car, I can hear them yelling, oh, I'm going to F this B up. If she don't get out the car, we'll break the windows and get her out. And if she just act funny or say something funny, we're going to beat her up.
So, Ms. Crum, there is no question in your mind that the defendants were at the Walmart parking lot on December 10th?
Correct.
That she was not at work at December 10th at 9:30 in the morning?
Correct.
And these two were not in, I don't know, visiting a cousin for a couple of days. They were with their mother?
Correct.
And I don't really have to get into what this family dispute was all about. I don't want to know. Okay. Suffice it to say, I assume that at one time you were a close family, and because of something you're not a close family anymore.
Right.
And nobody knows how to just not be a close family without being destructive.
Exactly, or violent.
I don't care. That's not my problem. I don't want to put this family back together. I don't care if you're not back together. All I care about is your keyed car.
Me too, exactly.
Now, did you go into the Walmart?
I did. I actually ran and afraid of being assaulted by them three. So I ran into Walmart.
And when you came out is when you noticed your car was keyed?
I noticed the damages on my car.
And you did not see any of them key your car?
No, but I'm pretty sure they did it because
Just
they were
a second.
saying...
It's very easy to determine. Okay. Can I see pictures of your car, please? Would you show me where it was keyed? Are you talking about these marks? I don't know. It's very hard when you do these blow-up pictures to see what you're talking about.
Circle where the damage is, please.
Did you take those pictures with your phone?
I did.
I'd like to see it in your phone rather than blown up so that I can't see a thing.
And you can just move your finger towards the left and it should keep going.
Got it. Now I got it.
Okay.
Much easier to see. Thank you. Okay. So far, there is no proof other than your statement that they were, in fact, there. You didn't see them do it. But certainly, she says she was at work. They were in some other place. So if they were lying to me about her being at work on that day, that's easy, right? Yvonne, right? If you were lying to me about not being at work.
I have no reason to lie, ma'am.
Great. And this supervisor would know whether or not you were at work on December 10th at 9:30 in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? Great.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You swore in an answer. I was at work. These two weren't with me. They were off someplace else because this one was suspended from school. You set a bad example. That's why she's suspended from school.
And later today,
Them raggedy bees keyed it, and I knew she was directing it towards us.
The raggedy bees were the two of you.
Yeah, well, she accused her
Okay, I
of
just
keying
want to
it.
know, the raggedy people that she was talking about were the two of you.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jasmine Crum says family members Yvonne Fultz, and her daughters Jaleesa Granberry and Janika Williams keyed her car.
Jill, this is Judge Judy Scheindlin. Good morning. I'm in the middle of trying a case, and there was a date in question as to whether one of your former employees was actually working. The date is December the 10th, 2010, in the morning. Thank you, Jill. Was she there at any time that week? Thank you very much, Jill. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Not supposed to lie in front of your children.
That I don't do.
You're not supposed to lie in front of your children and make them co-conspirators in your lie. You understand?
Your Honor, I am
Do
not
you
a liar.
understand?
Maybe I have got a date wrong because I was working a lot of overtime.
Listen, don't tell me I have the date wrong.
No,
you know exactly why you're coming to court. You know exactly the date. You swore in an answer. I was at work. These two weren't with me. They were off someplace else because this one was suspended from school. You set a bad example. That's why she's suspended from school.
No, Your Honor.
No? You don't think so? Well, you weren't working on December 10th. How much did it cost to fix your car?
I have the repair damages.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
I'm not speaking to you.
I haven't gotten it fixed yet.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all. Step out. Think twice about your mothering.
All these are excuses. You may step out.
I'm pretty sure that they showed you all their drama right here on camera. They're drama queens.
They're all young adults, 18 and older, who physically assaulted my daughter.
2 years ago, Yvonne cut me with a butcher knife here. She cut me here.
I've been up and down for months and months with all this harassment.
I think it's maybe jealousy on their side.
I have a son who's been shot by somebody on her entourage side of the family.
I filed a restraining order to keep them away from me and my children.
It was just crazy to me how they thought they was going to come in there and lie.
I wonder why she hated on us. We never did anything to her.
I have assault charges. I have restraining orders and everything.
It's just been going on and on and on, and there's so much hatred and stuff in between the families.
With them people, there is no family.
I'm glad we came to Judge Judy today to settle that, and for once, somebody spoke up for us, and it looks right.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lewis versus Rowe. Step forward.
20-year-old Shanae Lewis is suing former friend, 20-year-old Brianna Rowe, for keying her car. Shanae claims Brianna admitted to the crime on Facebook.
Miss Lewis, it is your claim that the defendant keyed your car, caused damage in the amount of about $2,500. Miss Rowe says she didn't do it. How do you know each other?
I know Brianna because we were friends in high school. We hung out with the same people and went to the same parties, so we...
All right, so that's how you know each other.
Correct.
When was your car vandalized?
In the summer, around July 2010.
What do you mean around July?
July 2010. I don't know the exact date.
Did you report it to the police?
No, I did not.
Do you remember where your car was?
Yes, I do.
Where was your car?
It was parked at a mutual friend's parking spot in an apartment.
Where?
In Citrus Heights, California.
What's the address?
I do not know the name of the apartment.
I didn't ask you the name. What's the address?
I do not know the address.
What do you know?
I know that my car was parked in a covered parking spot that was allowed by the owner of the apartment.
Well, you can't tell me if it was allowed by the owner of the apartment because that's hearsay.
Okay, well, my car was parked in a covered parking spot.
And?
And it was keyed.
And?
And I have proof that Brianna Rowe did it.
I'd like to see your proof.
Well, we were at a mutual friend.
Listen to me.
Yes.
I want to see your proof.
Okay, I have documents of the pictures of my car.
Listen to me. I want to see the proof.
Okay, here's the proof of my car.
I don't have to see the keys car. You don't even know when it happened. I want to see proof that the defendant keyed your car.
Okay, well, she admitted on Facebook to doing it.
Let me see it.
This is the conversation right here, and it's highlighted right there.
Bert, you have younger children. Would it be possible for you to interpret this gibberish that is highlighted for me?
I'll give it a shot. Okay. Laugh out loud. I can care less for you. I keyed your car because my best friend didn't like you. But I'm too grown to go bad on you on Facebook. I'll leave being ignorant to you. I guess anyway, have a nice day.
It's almost like reading Sanskrit.
Yes. I don't dig text speak, but I know it.
Could you show that to the defendant?
Sure.
Take a look at
Yeah.
that. Is that your thesis?
Oh, I have one of these too.
Well, I'm asking you, is that yours?
Mm-hmm. Did I write it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did you tell her you keyed her car?
Because she had made a post that said, Granddad is getting my car detailed.
That said what?
She was getting her car detailed and fixed after them raggedy bees keyed it, and I knew she was directing it towards us because she accused us of keying her car.
The raggedy bees were the two of you?
Yeah, well, she accused her
I
of
just
keying
want to
it.
know, the raggedy people that she was talking about were the two of you. You knew that yourself without having been named. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Because she
Fine.
had already
Just a
accused of
second.
us doing it.
So even though you weren't named, you decided to tell her that she was right, that you did in fact key her car. And if Officer Byrd read it right, you told her why you keyed her car.
I wrote it to make her mad.
Well, why would you think, if she already knew that you and your raggedy friend were the ones that keyed her car, why did you think it would make her mad if you admitted it?
No, she thought Elena had keyed her car.
No. She talked about two raggedy people.
She
here.
didn't say how many.
No, she
people.
just said, she said after them.
Yes.
Well,
and then,
raggedy, and she uses the word with an S.
Mm-hmm. Plural.
That would be two.
Yes,
Two.
but
So
it was 3 of us at the house.
3 of you. Well, how many of you keyed the car?
None of us.
Well, then why would you admit to keying her car?
Because she accused us of it. After her car got keyed, she came in the house, threw papers at Elena, and told us we keyed her car.
There's something wrong with you. Honestly, there's something wrong with you. I mean, I can't get myself overly exercised about this case, quite frankly, Miss Lewis, because you don't even remember what date it happened. How many times has your car been keyed?
None.
Well, one.
Well, once.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
This is your Facebook page?
Yes.
And this is you with this bathing suit?
Yes, if that is a bathing suit.
Well, I just want to know.
Yes, that is me on up there.
Is there any reason why you think that this is an appropriate picture just to send around the internet?
I did modeling, and that was a picture that I like, and I feel that I wanted to post it.
I need to take deep breaths. I need to take deep breaths.
It's only going to get worse.
Your Honor, me and the defendant had been friends before this happened.
The defendant and I had been
The
friends
defendant and
also.
I were friends before this happened. And the reason why I believe the motive that they had...
I don't care what their motive was. She admitted it.
Okay.
It's irrelevant to me what her motive was.
Okay.
I assume that you had some sort of a falling out. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Now I'll see the pictures of your car.
Okay.
When did you take these pictures of your car?
I took them when it happened, and then I took some more before I came.
And since you don't know exactly when this happened, sometime last summer, I assume you've been driving around with your car exactly the way it is.
Yes.
Do you have an estimate to have it fixed?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see. No, they're not repairing any dents. She didn't dent the car. She keyed it.
There's dent marks and scratch marks on my
Very good.
back.
Yeah, okay. Could you explain to me why you filed this lawsuit for $2,500 and the estimate that you have was $15,000?
Because I am suing for, I believe that, for the scratches and for punitive damages.
Punitive damages for what?
Because every time that I have to drive around my car and have the word written on it, that's embarrassing for me to have to ride around and be disrespected like that. I have a newborn son, and I don't want that portrayed for me. I'm not.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
What do you have a newborn son for? I thought you went to school.
I do go to school.
Who takes care of your newborn son?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, spend $500, get your car painted. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount.
Yeah, this is case number 130 on the calendar in the matter of Gary St. Clair versus Roberts Boland. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
John gave Aaron the keys to his car, which is your car.
Our car.
How old are you?
I'm 17 years old.
So it's your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Aaron trashed the car. You want Aaron's mom to pay for the trashed car.
Yes, ma'am.
Aaron's mom says John should never have given him the keys to the car, that he knew he didn't have a driver's license. Therefore, you are responsible. And she is counterclaiming because Aaron got a whole bunch of tickets and fines as a result of driving this car without a license. And she is counterclaiming for the cost of those tickets, etc. Is that right?
Correct.
And just so that I understand, you believe that your son has no responsibility with regard to this accident, that it's totally Aaron's fault, and you believe that the accident is totally John's fault for giving him the keys to the car, and that they actually should pay you for the cost that you had to absorb for the tickets that your son got. Is that right?
No, Your Honor. I think they're both responsible.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, if you think they're both responsible, how could you be counterclaiming?
Because I think that John is just equally as responsible as Aaron is for the tickets that Aaron incurred. If he hadn't given Aaron the keys to the car, it wouldn't have happened.
Okay. Tell me the circumstances surrounding John, you getting giving the keys to Aaron.
Well, what happened was the defendant and I we had a couple friends over at another friend's house. We had gone to buy some alcohol earlier that evening. We had the plaintiff's sister's roommate buy it.
And you got drunk?
Yes.
Now, Aaron, you acknowledge that John was drunk. Is that right? You say that in your papers.
Earlier that night.
He was drunk
Yeah.
and sick. You said he got sick.
Yes.
Were you drinking?
I had a shot.
A shot of what?
Vodka.
Well, you say you were sober. Were you sober?
Yes.
And he was drunk?
Around midnight.
Don't try to be smart with me, Aaron. I just want to explain that to you. Do not be smart with me. What time did you get the keys to the car?
It was around 3 o'clock.
Where was John, sitting, standing, or lying when you got the keys to the car?
We were upstairs.
Upstairs where?
I was using the bathroom when my friend Brandon asked him if I could drive his car to the gas station.
Where was he?
He was standing outside the bathroom with Brandon.
So you didn't ask him for the keys?
No.
Some third party did?
Yes.
Now, why did you take the keys to the car if you have no driver's license?
Because I wanted to drive to the gas station.
Well, that was wrong.
I know this.
That was wrong. You took the keys to the car. You had no driver's license. You had no right to be driving a car. You had some alcohol to drink. So why did you take the keys? Why did you get behind the wheel of a car? Hama?
I don't really know.
Now, what happened when you got into the car?
I drove the car.
What happened?
Well, when the accident happened?
Yeah.
Well, we were driving down the street, and he couldn't get the CD out of the CD player. So I bent over, and I was messing with the CD player. And I looked back up, and I noticed that it went from 2 lanes down to 1 lane. So I swerved over, and I over-swerved, so I went to swerve back, and the car skidded out of control.
So let's see what you did, Aaron. You took keys to a car to drive it, despite the fact that you didn't have a license. You had alcohol to drink, and I would make a good wager that you had more than 1 shot of vodka that night. Got behind the wheel of the car. You weren't paying attention to what you were doing. You were fidgeting around with a CD because you wanted to play music, right? You weren't looking where you were going, and you got into an accident, right?
Right.
Okay. Now we've got the fault on your side. Now let's hear from you, John. Tell me about how Aaron got the keys to the car.
Well, first of all, we weren't upstairs, and he wasn't going to the bathroom. I had been drinking really heavily. I probably had close to maybe 7 or 8 shots and a few
Wrong.
beers.
And that was what?
It was wrong.
Right.
And I was laying down on our friend's guest bed at the house we were staying at, drinking and everything. And him and another friend of mine, the plaintiff, had came and asked me for the keys. I was very incoherent. They had said, John, we're going to go a couple blocks away to a Quick Trip, get some Coca-Cola. I'm like, okay, be back in 10 minutes.
Why did you give him the keys to the car? You knew he didn't have a license?
I did not know he had a license.
That he didn't have a license?
I didn't know that he did not have a license.
Earlier that night, he let me drive his car, and I told him I did not have a driver's license.
Well, tell me about that. When earlier did you drive
It was
the
around
car?
like 6 o'clock.
Well,
He
now I
let me
want you
drive
to
his
tell
car.
me about that earlier incident. Tell me about it.
He let me take his car for...
No! Tell me where you were, what you were doing, and the exact conversation when you asked him for the car to borrow the car.
I was using the bathroom upstairs, and when we asked him...
No, don't help him out. He's in the bathroom a lot. Earlier that evening, about 6 o'clock, you were in the bathroom.
No, not that time.
I'm talking about that time.
Well, I didn't know that. But that time, I don't remember where we
You
were.
remember. Start remembering.
I don't remember.
Remember. I'm telling you to remember. If you don't remember, then how do you remember, sir, that you said to him, I don't have a license, but can I have your car
I wasn't
anyway?
the only one that said it to him.
What?
I wasn't the only one that said it to him that
I
night.
want to hear what you told him.
I already told you.
No, you didn't tell me how you got the keys to his car the first time, sir.
I don't remember why I was driving the car the first time, but I did.
Mm-hmm. Did he drive your car before?
No.
He doesn't remember. If he doesn't remember, it didn't happen. Neither did it happen that he told you that he didn't have a license. How old are you?
17.
Can I see the damage done to the car, please?
Pictures? Like a police report?
A little bit of everything.
Here, I'm sorry.
Hit and run. You mean after you had the accident, you took off?
I walked down to the gas station. The car was locked.
And running, according to the police. So you locked the car running.
When we hit the curb, the car tipped over on its side. We climbed out the top. We tipped it back over. It was still in gear, so the doors automatically locked on it. We could not get back inside.
Well, the police officers certainly smelled alcohol on you. And you were going very fast, according to the skid marks. Much faster than the 40 or 50 that you told the policeman you were going.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They were all drinking. Your son is 17 years old. He had no right to be drinking and drunk.
And later today,
My daughter's only 2 years old. She was abusing my child, and I wasn't going to let my child stay there and be abused.
She said, call your husband, call your husband. She think I was calling him. I was really calling the cops.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old John Geary says former friend, 17-year-old Aaron Roberts, drove his car drunk and wrecked it. Aaron's mom says John gave him the keys.
Your Honor, a lot of the damage was underneath the vehicle, which we could not get pictures of because of the semen underneath.
Mm-hmm. Can I see your estimates, please? What year car is this?
93.
Was it fixed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me tell you what my ruling is. Let me address the counterclaim first. Your counterclaim is dismissed in its entirety. As outlined to you earlier, your son did all the wrong things. He's 17 years old. He was drinking. He took a car. He should not have taken the car. He had no license. He was inattentive in driving that car. He was speeding. He had an accident. His fault. He pays the tickets. He pays the fine and gets a suspension on whatever license he might get in the future. I'm sure he's not going to get a license when he wants to, and that's just ducky with me. So your counterclaim is dismissed. Now let's go to your claim. You're going to get something, but not all of it. Your son is 17 years old. He had no right to be drinking and drunk. He lent the keys to his car to someone else who he also knew had been drinking, because that's what they were doing all night. They were all drinking. So if he had been not doing the wrong thing as an underage drinker, this whole accident wouldn't have happened. It's more his fault than his fault. But he has a certain responsibility. When you give someone a car, that person has to have total responsibility. If he had driven the car home and it had a terrible accident and someone would have been killed, he would have spent some time in jail. Good amount of time. Well, he knew that he had been drinking, because that's what they were all doing there that night.
I never saw him take a drink, Your Honor.
You don't have to see him take a drink, sir. That's what everybody was doing at the party or whatever gathering you were having. You'd been drinking all night. You didn't have to see him. You weren't aware enough to say to him, have you been drinking at all before I give you the keys to the car, whether you knew he had a license or not? Certainly, if you hadn't been drinking, you would have noticed that he had alcohol all over his breath because the police officer noticed it. You were in no condition to notice it. But you have a certain responsibility. It cost your mother $4,276 to fix this car. And I'm issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,200. The rest of it, I suggest you work off and pay back your mother. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Excuse, you may step out.
He told me it had been an accident.
That's something a mother never wants to hear.
They both were guilty. They both did wrong.
4:30 on a Sunday morning, do you know where your son is?
And now the next case.
Party's on Walker versus Demby. Step forward, please.
24-year-old certified nursing assistant Latoya Walker is suing the mother of her husband's daughter, caregiver Teresa Demby, for kicking in her screen door. Teresa says she didn't do it.
Miss Walker, it is your claim that the defendant kicked in your screen door. You wanted to pay for the damage.
Yes.
Defendant says it wasn't me. You probably did it yourself. How do you know her?
My husband has a baby by her.
Your husband. This is the husband. How long have you been married?
Maybe a couple months. We got married in March.
How old is the baby?
She's 3 now. She just had a birthday.
Who does the child live with?
Her mother.
She always lived with her mother?
No. She just got her on the 24th of May.
Prior to the 24th of May, who was she living with?
Me and him.
How long had she been living with the two of you?
Since she was 7 months.
So you were in court over a custody case?
They were.
They were. And ultimately, your daughter came to live with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Father have visitation rights with the child?
No, not by the courts or anything. It's just that if he calls sometime, which he doesn't really, to see
So
her.
he doesn't have a visitation order?
No.
When did this door incident take place?
On April 24th of this year.
At that time, you were involved in the court case, is that right?
I had put in a motion then. A motion was put in.
So the answer is yes,
Yes.
you were involved in court. And the child was living with you?
Yes.
So tell me what happened.
So she called that morning and she asked me, was Shaniqua there? I told her no. So she found out I was lying because the baby was there.
Why did you lie to her?
Because she hasn't been coming to get her for her weekends, and I just felt that I didn't want her to, I don't think that she should have seen her. We always get her ready to go with her mom. She'll never show up when she's supposed to. When she do show up, she's late. She bring her back late.
So you lied to her and told her that the
Yeah,
baby
I told
was...
her that the baby was at her grandfather's house, her great-grandfather's house.
What happened next?
So she figured out that I was lying because I guess she went to the great-grandfather's house and she called me and she asked me did I have a problem with her. And I said no, but I got a problem the way you treat Shaniqua. And she said, what you mean you got a problem the way? She was like, wait a minute, I'll be right over.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Latoya Walker says her husband's ex-girlfriend, Teresa Demby, kicked in her screen door. Teresa says Latoya lied about the whereabouts of her child.
Go ahead.
So she came over, we exchanged words, you know.
Where was she and where were you when you exchanged words?
At my door, because my screen door don't have the part where you could talk through. It's just like the glass up top. So I had to open it a little bit just to even to talk to her.
So?
Then she started calling my husband names, a liar, and, you know, calling him names, assaulting him and all this stuff. So I said, well, the conversation is closed. I'm not going to let you talk to my husband like that, you know.
Where was he?
He was at the doctor's that day.
So he wasn't home?
No, he wasn't home.
So she was just bad-mouthing your husband to you? Okay, next.
So then I said, well, I don't want to talk to you because at the time my baby woke up and everything. So I just said, I don't want to talk to you no more. I'm shutting my screen door. Shut my screen door. And she slammed it. She said, I'll shut your screen door because she was holding it, you know, talking. And then she was like, matter of fact, I'm going to kick your screen door. So she started kicking it, and I started laughing. And I said, and I got on the phone and I called 911. And she said, call your husband, call your husband. She think I was calling him. I was really calling the cops.
Did they come? Did
Yes.
they arrive? You have a report?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it, please? So she kicked the door?
Yes.
And then she left?
Yeah, she left when she, you know, realized I was talking to the cops because I was looking at her tag number.
Anything happened as a result of this complaint?
Well, I had filed another complaint, but apparently I was at the wrong court because their judgment was that we needed mediation to deal with the baby.
Okay, I'm not talking about the baby. I'm talking about this
So
vandalism complaint. Okay, do you have pictures of the door?
Yes.
And do you have an estimate for the damage?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
All right, how you doing? First of all, I seen Mr. Walker, my daughter's father, that day, and he said that Shaniqua was home to give her a phone call. So I gave Shaniqua a phone call, and she answered the phone. I said, can I speak to Shaniqua? She said, Shaniqua's not here. Shaniqua's at her grandfather's home. So I goes to the grandfather home. Shaniqua wasn't there. So I called her from the grandfather home, and I asked her, I said, why? I said, do you have a problem with me? And she said, no, I have a problem with the way you treat your daughter. And I said, what do you mean? So we exchanged words on the phone, but I never went out to her home. So then the next time I really seen these people was when I went there with the police to get my daughter after the custody hearing that he did not show up at. It's all basically over. She doesn't like my daughter. My daughter's only 2 years old. She was abusing my child, and I wasn't going to let my child stay there and be abused. So this is what this is all over. A 2-year-old girl that he has a baby by me first and not her. So she made it her business to go out and have a baby. Fine, fine and dandy. So, you know, you mistreating my child. Every time I turn around,
Listen to me.
Yes?
Listen to me.
I don't know anything about the screen door.
The police report was made on the same day as this incident, on the 24th. On the 24th, the child was still living with them.
Mm-hmm.
Common sense would indicate to me that you were pretty angry when you went over to the grandfather's house and found that your child wasn't there.
100%.
Right. And then what you expect me to believe is that you didn't go over to the house to confront her about lying to you. That's what you want me to believe.
Well, basically, you're going to believe what you want to believe. But
No,
what
I'm just asking.
I went back to my home where I live at in Clementon, which we was already in municipal court for this case. When she came to municipal court, she had no pictures of the door. That's why the judge threw it out.
Listen to me. It's not what I'm saying to you.
Okay, what are you saying?
You want me to believe that after she gave you the runaround and said that Shaniqua is not at her house, the grandfather's house, first she lied to you, then she sent you on a wild goose chase to go and find your daughter where the daughter wasn't visiting. You want me to believe that you just merely accepted that and went home?
I just want you to believe the truth. That's what happened.
I don't believe you. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $324, which is the amount. Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Van Buren, when were you and Mr. Ackerman married?
1994 to 2007.
And you have one child?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did you and Mr. Ackerman live together?
We lived together probably from 1992 to 2006.
So far, is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Your one child is 15, and I believe from my reading of the paper that Mr. Ackerman has custody of that child. Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are under a child support order for that child?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Is it correct that you are currently in arrears on your child support and your driver's license was suspended because of that?
Yes, ma'am.
You are $15,000 in arrears?
That is not accurate.
Yes,
How much in arrears are you?
Closer to 16, Your Honor.
I didn't actually come to court to prepare to prove what I've paid on child support.
That's not my question.
On file it says $15,000, but I can prove that I don't owe that much. There was a period of time...
Just a second. And your license was suspended in January of this year, 2011, for
yes, because of a
non-payment
payroll mistake at my job.
For non-payment of child support. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Was your driver's license suspended in January?
Yes, ma'am.
What was it suspended for?
For non-payment of child support.
That's what I said.
There was a clerical error that my payroll department made.
Maybe yes, maybe no. This is what your lawsuit is about. First, you claim that your wages might be garnished and you have to pay an IRS debt that was accrued during the time that you and Mr. Ackerman lived together. So you want him to be responsible for half of that IRS debt.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When were you notified of that IRS debt?
I had made attempts in 2008 to make this right with the IRS. I didn't get far enough in the process before they levied my account in 2009.
Ms. Van Buren, when did this IRS debt accrue? From what year to what year?
I'm sorry, the years of 2000 through 2006.
That's not correct, Your Honor.
What years?
2003 to 2006.
And you were still married then, is that right, Mr. Ackerman?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were divorced in 2007?
Correct.
When, if ever, were you notified of this deficiency?
After her license was suspended, she filed the lawsuit a week later for the back taxes. That's the first I found out about it.
Ms. Van Buren, When for the first time did you have communication, either by email or letter, with Mr. Ackerman that you had received a notice of deficiency from the IRS?
We both knew in that marriage.
Don't tell me what we knew.
I notified him of the levy of my account either the day of or the day after.
The day of or the day after what?
When they levied my account.
Show me your initial notice from the Internal Revenue Service.
What I have is a bank statement.
That's no good. I want to see the statement from the IRS indicating...
I have documentation with me from the IRS, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at it. Do you have any documentation with you from the IRS?
I have tax returns.
That's not what I want.
May I request some assistance from my witness, please?
Who is your witness?
Jason Schwiller.
Who is it?
My boyfriend.
No. 2004, you were still living together. 2005, you were still living together. 2009, you were divorced.
Right.
Correct.
2003, I'm not interested in. Well, this is to you, Ms. Ackerman, indicating that you worked out a tax repayment plan with the IRS. There's a letter here, December 31st, 2009, indicating that there was an overpayment on his tax return of $304, but that's after the divorce.
Right, that was supposed to be a refund, and they added it to the back taxes.
What do you mean they added it? You mean they paid down the back
Correct.
taxes?
Correct.
And how many times did they do that?
I think that was the only time.
Okay, and how much have you paid them back?
I paid them with my refunds that I have filed in 2007, 8, and 9. All that was taken
Not
from me.
7. How much was taken in 2008 and how much was taken in 2009?
All of them, and I don't have the amounts with me.
Well, then I can't help you. How am I supposed to help you? He had his refund taken and applied to back taxes as well. How do you expect me to make it as equal as I can if you don't know how much they took of your refund? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What are you doing here? What do you want here? Why did you file this claim?
Your Honor, may I speak?
No.
And later today,
There has to be some basis for a lawsuit. Otherwise, what you do is you clog up the courts.
I agree with that.
nonsense.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Van Buren says ex-husband Chris Ackerman owes for money garnished from her account by the IRS and for half of their son's unreimbursed medical bills.
Ms. Van Buren, you want to tell me what you believe that Mr. Ackerman owes you with regard to unpaid medical expenses for your child?
February 7th of 2010, our son was involved in a serious accident. He was taken to emergency room and then transported by ambulance to another hospital to receive emergency surgery.
Okay.
I've gotten all the bills paid except for just under $5,000 of that. I have my divorce decree stating that he was responsible for half.
Does your divorce decree say who's supposed to have insurance for him?
She
Yes,
is
ma'am.
supposed to have insurance.
Yes, ma'am.
You're shouting out.
And I am, and I've always insured my child.
But your insurance lapsed.
Yes, it did. I have always had my son covered. The insurance company that I have through my job has a verifications benefits company. I have a document stating that they had him covered in 2010. They had dropped the wrong dependent. It was a big mess. I said, look, you need to switch this. You need to take my ex-husband off that had been my ex-husband for 3 years. I said, you need to take him off there and put my child back on. When I went to re-enroll him for coverage they should have never denied him to begin with, they said that I failed to provide proper documents for the insurability of him. In other words, I needed to prove insurability. After 3 trips to the courthouse, birth certificate, Social Security card, they were not happy with the 2 pages that I provided of my divorce decree.
Ms. Van Buren, your judgment of divorce provides that you are to maintain insurance for the child. The insurance lapsed through no fault of his, whether it was your fault or a combination your fault and the insurance company's fault. What you're asking me to do is to say because you were under court order to provide insurance.
Which I did provide insurance, ma'am.
No. If you did, then we wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
I had him covered.
Then you would have had no medical bills.
Well, I can't get all the medical bills, or some of the medical bills they're not going to pay.
Miss Van Buren, he did not have any insurance. I mean, you can't have it both ways. At the time of his accident, was he insured or not insured?
He was not insured,
Sure.
but I got the bills paid. I got him covered, and then after that, I got him continuous coverage to the state of Georgia.
Miss Van Buren, you're not following my question. 2 answers. Either he was covered when he was in his accident, or he was not covered. Was he covered or not covered?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, he was covered.
If he was covered, then why did you have thousands of dollars in medical bills? Show me where they applied your insurance to his bills, and if your divorce decree provides that his father should pay for 1/2 of the unreimbursed medical bills, I'll be more than happy to award you half of that. But I want to see where you had bills that were covered by insurance and there was a deductible or something else. Do you have any of those?
No, I only have the...
Of course not.
I only have the bills that they didn't pay.
No, because he was not insured at the time of his accident, correct? Is that correct?
I had him covered for the month of the accident.
He wasn't insured at the time of the accident.
Not under the insurance company that is provided by my employer, no.
Well, just a second.
The bills that were incurred by this accident was probably $250,000. He went under 2 major surgeries, okay? And after I thank God that he was alive, my sole purpose was to get this child covered. Because as far as I was concerned, it's not my fault that they dropped my child. I have always had my child insured.
Miss Van Buren, it may not be your fault, but it's not his.
Exactly.
I don't know whether it's your fault or not, but I know it's not his fault. Because your divorce decree, I mean, I've read your papers very carefully, provided that you were to make child support payments and you were to keep them covered by your insurance. And your former husband was to pay for 1/2 of the unreimbursed medical bills. That's standard language. Is that what it says in your divorce decree?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so all you have to do is show me the bills that were paid by insurance, what your deductible or unreimbursed medical bills were, and I will entertain them. And if you don't have those, I can't help you.
I don't have those documents, ma'am.
Well, then I can't help you, Miss Van Buren. I don't know where you thought you were coming today. You know, you came here for 2 different reasons, and you don't have paperwork with regard to either one.
I think right off the bat you were misinformed by some arrears that I owe. I was not prepared to come here and prove that I have been providing for my child. So I think right from the get-go, you don't like me because I have to pay my child support, which is not the truth.
Miss Van Buren,
I have been providing for my child.
You can get exercised, but what I'm telling you is, based upon your papers that I read, you were aware of this tax debt for a long time. You told me that you were aware of this tax debt for the last 3 years.
So was he. He was aware of it. I was too.
Listen to me.
Aware of it.
Hey, listen to me carefully. You can get as exercised as you like. You didn't sue him until after your driver's license was suspended last month. That's when you got angry. And don't get angry with him. Don't get angry with me.
My license. I'm not on trial here for child support.
I didn't say you were, madam. What I'm saying to you, madam, is you had 2 issues. You brought proof of neither.
I only want it fair. We were married for 12 years. For 6 years, we did not file taxes, and he knew that. Why should I be responsible to pay all of this? And it's paid in full, and that's what I'm happy about.
Miss Van Buren, all I asked you was to show me what your tax refund was.
And I'm not able to buy that for you, but you know what? It's paid, and really that's what I care about.
So then what are you doing here? What do you want here? If it's paid and then you're happy with that, then what are you doing here? Why did you file this claim? And if you file the claim, it's your responsibility to bring the paperwork. Sit. No. Because if you knew anything, you would have to have the paperwork here.
We have paperwork.
Well, she doesn't have it here.
She has bank statements showing payment paid to the IRS.
No, not bank statements. IRS statements that show we have taken the following: $304 on your past due IRS debt. That's what the letter shows from the IRS. That's what she will have someplace, not a bank statement. That's all. Thank you. That's all.
Your Honor.
Listen to me. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Please excuse me. Step out.
He knows he owes me half his tax debt.
I had no clue. She lied then, and now she's lying about the insurance on the child.
I hope that, we can communicate, but I don't think it's going to get any better from here.
I would like to be able to communicate with her, but she's very unreasonable, and I don't see that happening.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Wiseman versus Carmen. Step forward.
Diane Wiseman is suing former business associate Molly Carmen for expenses she incurred while studying to become a private detective.
Miss Wiseman, let me see if I can put in a very Reader's Digest way what this case is about, so perhaps I can simplify it for both myself and for the two of you. You wanted to go into the private investigation business. Could you stop, Ms. Carmen? Papers down.
I'm sorry.
It's not so...
I'm sorry.
Not so difficult. Ms. Wiseman, you wanted to go into the private investigation business. According to your complaint, you contacted the defendant, who had been a private investigator for quite some time.
Yes, ma'am.
You made some sort of an arrangement with her where she would come and instruct you so that you could get your license. In what jurisdiction?
Washington State.
Miss Carmen traveled to Washington State from
Boise, Idaho.
At her own expense to come and work with you in setting up your business and doing some training.
Yes, ma'am.
You had no written agreement with her whatsoever, and no oral agreement with regard to a partnership, an arrangement to sharing of income. I don't know why she did it. I don't care. But there was no contract between the two of you. So far, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Miss Carmen, according to your complaint, did not follow through with what she had to do to take a test in Washington State in order to train you. And therefore, you had to hire someone else and do some other paperwork in order to get your license.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want her to pay for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Carmen wants to be compensated for her travel to the state of Washington, even though there was no agreement to compensate her for travel. So far, correct?
Correct.
So, what you need, Miss Wiseman, is a cause of action. And you don't have a cause of action. You don't have a cause of action for breach of contract. Contract requires an offer, an acceptance, and consideration. Those are the basic parts of any contract, whether it be written contract or an oral contract. What was Miss Carmen supposed to get out of this arrangement?
She was supposed to get part of the ability to be able to work with us.
I don't know what that means.
She was going to work with us. And if she came to Washington State, she came to Washington State because her son and grandbabies live there. So.
I assumed that she didn't come just for you.
Right.
I assumed that you were an afterthought in her visiting somebody else there. I assumed she didn't come for you. In any event, you don't have a contract. That's a nebulous sort of thing. She was supposed to get something to work maybe with us and maybe... That's not a contract. Bird has this. I need this. He knows how much I need this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a calculator. So I say, Bird, would you sell this to me? And he says, I'll sell it to you for $5.
Mm-hmm.
I give him $5. Offer, acceptance, the $5 is consideration. Now I have this, whether it's oral or in writing. That's a contract. But you have no contract. You asked her for help. She came. It didn't work out. So you had to do what you had to do in order to get licensed. She's not responsible for that. You understand? I thought I might tell you that. Now, under what theory do you think you're entitled to be compensated for your travel to the state of Washington?
Well, Your Honor, she was in a hurry. I wouldn't have traveled on those dates, but she was on medical leave from her job.
I don't care about that. Did she tell you she would reimburse you for your travel?
No, she did not, but I was doing it out of the kindness of my heart.
Good. Then what are you bothering the courts for?
No good deed goes unpunished, I guess.
But I don't understand why you're bothering the courts with your lawsuits.
I don't think I'm bothering you, hopefully.
Actually, it is. There has to be some basis for a lawsuit. Otherwise, what you do is you clog up the courts.
I agree with
nonsense. Put your hand down. There has to be some basis for a lawsuit, either in negligence,
right,
contract, breach of warranty.
I do believe there was negligence, ma'am.
There wasn't negligence, madam. She has to owe you a duty. She doesn't owe you a duty to take a test so that she could train you.
But she agreed to. Your Honor, may I say so?
Ms. Wiseman, you didn't put your ears on. There has to be offer, acceptance, and consideration. You do not have a contract with her. Put your hand down.
I'm sorry.
Bird wants his room cleaned. He's very messy. I say I have nothing to do on Saturday. I'll come over and clean your room. On Saturday, I said, what am I, crazy? I'm not going to go over and clean Bird's room. Or I go over there on Saturday, I look at it and I say, you know, this is a real pig pen. I'm not cleaning this room. And Bird said, you said you would come over and clean my room. And now I'm going to go and hire somebody and pay him $200 to clean my room and charge you for it.
Exactly.
Well, that's exactly what you're doing, Ms. Wiseman.
Right.
Now, did I make that clear to you now?
I'm clear.
Good. Case is dismissed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
These are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is Maura. Has been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Everybody, have seats.
Mr. Herzig, you were retained by Mr. and Mrs. Mora, according to your complaint,
Yes,
to
ma'am.
be the DJ at their son's bar mitzvah.
Correct.
They gave you a $500 deposit,
Correct.
the balance due of $650. According to your complaint, you went to the bar mitzvah, you performed your service, the Moras gave you a check for $650,
Correct.
and then they stopped payment on the check.
Yes, ma'am.
You want your money.
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Mora say that your services were not up to standard, that they feel as if they didn't get what they had contracted for, that you ruined their son's bar mitzvah. In addition to ruining their son's bar mitzvah, you slandered and defamed them by writing letters to the temple, by walking around with placards outside. I don't know what you said. And they're suing you for a refund of their $500 deposit, as well as another $4,500 for their aggravation.
Correct.
Okay. Where was the bar mitzvah?
Desert Shores Community Center, the same location that my young witness had his bar mitzvah.
Okay. And how many people did you have at the bar mitzvah?
Approximately 100.
When did you retain Mr. Herzig?
Approximately 2 months before,
Okay.
2 to 3 months before the event.
Do you have the contract?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd
It
like to
was
see it,
actually December 16th, 2004.
And when was the bar mitzvah?
January 30th, 2005.
Okay. Would you show this to Mr. and Mrs. Moore and ask them whether they recognize signature on that and whose signature it was on the contract?
Yep, I have the same one in my...
Yes.
Okay, so that's the contract.
Yes.
Oh. And you showed up?
Absolutely. Ready to do a job.
Showed up, and how many hours were you there?
I arrived at 4 o'clock p.m. Set up time from 4 o'clock to 5:30. At 5:30, start music.
And when did you finish?
9:30.
Between 5:30 and 9:30, did anyone approach you and indicate that they were dissatisfied with what was going on?
Ms. Moore came up and said, I'm unhappy the music being played right now. It was during the dinner time. And I said, no problem. We'll promptly change it, which we did.
So other than that one time that Mrs. Mora came up to you during the course of the evening, did either of them come up and say that there was anything wrong with what you were doing?
Later on at about 8:40, maybe 9 o'clock, Ms. Mora came up and asked, she had given me originally that evening 4 additional notes to perform and to say, as I remember, something about one of them being guest had graduated from college. But there were a couple, how about those announcements? And I said, we've already made the announcements. I didn't know if she was in the room.
Can I add to that?
I'm going to get to you in a second. Okay. When did you get your check for $650?
After we put the equipment back into the van, we sat down at the table with Ms. Moore, and we requested our check, and we started just kibitzing a little about the evening, and that was it.
She gave you the check?
Yes, ma'am. Wrote the check right then and there.
Did she say at that point anything to you about your service that evening?
Word zero, which meant...
Okay. Don't tell me what he's going to tell me.
Okay.
You say word zero.
Word zero.
Okay, who's going to speak?
I'd like to say.
Okay.
Okay. When I originally hired Alan to be my DJ, I had interviewed a few DJs. And one mentioned that he was going to have a disco ball for lighting, which, you know, I would like for my son to have something special. And he said, oh, that's outdated. I have sophisticating lighting. I have speakers with that blink, and I have, you know, and I was excited because I thought, wow, I'm going to have that. That was not at the party. That's what initially, after I watched the tape of the bar mitzvah, or it was even before then, I said to my husband, was there lighting? And there was no lighting. The montage that he made for me, that he was professionally supposed to do.
I don't know what, could you stop
a
hitting the
montage?
table?
I'm sorry.
At the table.
The montage of...
A video montage that he supplied a projection screen that he told me he was going to add magic to. I scanned all the pictures at home on my computer and handed him a disc. He just added music to it, and he told me he was going to spin the pictures and do his magic to my pictures. And I have a copy of that. here that I'd like you to see, that within the first 4 pictures, there was a slag in between the pictures. As a professional, after making a tape of this sort, he should have viewed it before he showed it to my guests. There was a slag, and everybody thought the tape was over after the first 4 pictures.
The sound system was inadequate. We had music cues for people as they were to come out and be introduced that never went off. We didn't know he was going to have a 12-year-old child as his DJ, training him at our bar mitzvah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He said he would bring an assistant. We didn't know it would be a young child that he would be given on-the-job training during our affair.
He trained his son throughout the... I have it on tape also.
That was quite embarrassing for us, and our guests couldn't believe it. We had certain music that he left at home.
My father was an entertainer who had passed, and I wanted my family to hear my father's music while we're eating. I brought the tape. He didn't even bring it to the bar mitzvah. He had to call his wife to bring the tape to the bar mitzvah.
Did she bring it?
She brought it, but it was stressful for me.
Now you've told me the story.
Some of it.
Shh. Now you've told me the story, and now I'd like to know why you gave him a check for $650 at the end of the evening.
My husband wrote
First of all, he's not telling the truth. I'm the one that gave him the check, not my wife.
I don't care who gave him the check. You gave him the check.
He came over. He said, it's time to settle up. We still had guests around. I didn't want to cause a scene. It was a very big day, a lot of excitement. Took out my checkbook. I wrote him the check just to get it over with. And we went home and discussed it, and we got several complaints from guests. People called us. They emailed us. They told us the next day or two how awful things were.
I want to see those emails. Just a second. Listen to me very carefully, Mr. Mora. I want to see the emails from your guests telling you how awful the bar mitzvah was.
I have.
Okay.
I'd like to see them.
Okay.
You have those letters?
Those are some letters, but I want her to read this.
I want to see a letter.
I'll give it to them.
I just want to see an email. Oh, this is terrible. This is not what I want.
Okay.
This is not what I want. And this is not what I want. And this is not what I want. Did you understand English? English is, I want to see emails that your guests sent to you the day after the bar mitzvah telling you how horrible the bar mitzvah was. These are letters.
Okay.
These are letters 6 months later that you solicited from people saying, I was present at the Mora bar mitzvah and would like to make some comments about what I observed.
Well, she just printed it out that day.
Listen to me, madam. On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my worst day.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Tell me one Bubba Mice, I find everything else that you say suspect. So that's a grandma story.
Oh, I know the Bubba Mice.
That's a Bubba Mice, a grandma story. It means it's an untruth.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alan Herzig says former client Bonnie Moore owes for his DJ services. Bonnie claims Alan did a poor job. She is countersuing for defamation of character.
What I want to see is a guest at a bar mitzvah, because I've been to more bar mitzvahs in my day than you have, and I've made more.
Okay.
I have never had a guest that wrote me a letter or sent me an email telling me how horrible the function was because of the DJ. So when you said to me, I got emails the next day telling me how horrible the function was,
I didn't say that.
That's not true. That's not true.
Don't argue with it.
No guest at a Jewish bar mitzvah tells their host and hostess what a terrible time they had. Now, solicited, you can get letters from people telling you that they thought that the DJ was awful. Call a guest and say, I'm going to court, and I want you to tell me, or I'm having a discussion or a dispute with it. Put your hand down. You tell me one Bubba Misa. You know what that means?
Yes.
Good. You tell me one Bubba Misa, I find everything else that you say suspect. So that's a grandma story.
Oh, I know the Bubba Mice.
That's a Bubba Misa, grandma story. It means it's an untruth. It means what grandmas tell when they tend to fabricate. So nobody wrote you the next day or 2 days later or 3 days later what a terrible time they had at your son's bar mitzvah because of the music.
Your Honor, excuse me.
Don't speak to me yet. Okay. So the answer to the question is, you gave him a check the day of the bar mitzvah because you didn't want to create a scene at the bar mitzvah. And then you were talking amongst yourselves. not because you got emails from anybody the next day, because that's a lie, or the day after that, and you decided to stop payment on the check, right?
Right.
Now, after you stopped payment on the check, Mr. Herzig called you.
Right.
When you called him, what did Mr. Mora tell you?
My wife was unhappy with your performance.
And?
And we are not paying you, and we don't want to hear from you again. We've dusted our hands of you.
Was that the end of the conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any subsequent conversation with him?
I tried to.
So what did you do, Mr. Herzig? Because that's the second part of their complaint, for which they want $4,500.
I sent them eventually I sent them an email. I left messages. I'm
not talking about what you sent to them. They are complaining that you slandered them.
I sent them an email. That was the slander.
He wrote letters to all the religious leaders in the community with
You have
this
copies?
case.
Yes, you have copies
do.
of the letters?
And
just a second. Do you have copies of the letters that he sent?
I have one copy with CC's underneath.
Fine. I'd like to see it.
This was registered to me.
Okay.
He also sent a letter to the owner of the Israelite, which is the Jewish paper here in Las Vegas. I have a letter also from...
He carried a picket sign in front of our school, religious school.
Just a second.
Okay.
Is this what you're talking about? This.
He sent that whole package.
Just a second.
Yes.
This says.
He sent that to Mike, the owner.
Okay. And it says, how about a headline like Bonnie and Paul Morris stiffed their MC DJ?
Yes.
Well, that's what you did.
Okay.
That's what you did.
Okay.
You wrote
I
him a
don't think
check.
that he should be
Listen to me.
telling
You wrote him a check.
the newspaper that.
You listen to me. You wrote him a check, and then you stopped payment on the check. That means he got stiffed.
Disc jockey Alan Herzig claims client Bonnie Moore owes for services rendered. Bonnie is countersuing, claiming Alan slandered her.
Mr. Herzig says in this letter that he spent substantial time in your house helping you get the pictures scanned. Is that true?
He agreed that I told him I just bought the scanner. He agreed to come over and
So
do that.
it's-
But he just showed me how to do it.
Just
I
a
already
sec.
knew. Go ahead.
Listen to me. The answer is he came over to your house,
Mm-hmm.
which is not contained in this contract, to help you scan the pictures
Well, I
into a
scanned them all.
scanner. Not contained in here. He did it because he was being...
Yes, he was. Very nice to do that. Although his price
Fine.
was outrageous to begin with anyway.
Mrs. Herzog, that's an untruth. He was charging you $1,150 to perform at your event, which included this montage of pictures. And if you're telling me that that's an outrageous price, you should have hired somebody else. I'm telling you it's not an outrageous price.
Okay. Well-
Okay. And I'm still trying to find slander worth slander at all.
I don't think any of my business should be brought to the attention of my four rabbis. He sent it to in the newspaper.
God, listen, what you think is one thing. He could have been a nice person and not sent it to anybody else. But he chose not to do that. That's not actionable.
Going to the school at checkout time with a poster that says I owe him money, and I have a letter here from the receptionist.
Listen to me.
Did you want to
He
be
has a right. I'm not looking at a letter. He has a right to do that. You do owe him money. That's not libelous. That's something that's untrue. You do owe him money.
Okay.
And
I
if you
believe
owed
he did
him-
a job. I think it was inferior.
Just a second. Then you don't use him again. Let us say that you go out for a meal, Mrs. Mora, with your husband and your family, and you go to a new restaurant, and you eat at the restaurant. You finish everything on your plate. And you get back in your car that evening, and you say, you know, they advertise this restaurant as having the best ribs in town. And the truth is, I don't like those ribs as well as I like the rib guy at the end of the street. So I played by credit card, and I'm going to cancel my credit card, despite the fact that I ate the ribs, paid the bill, and I didn't like the way the waiter spoke to me, so I'm going to cancel that charge on my credit card. You think you'd get very far, Mrs. Mora? Zero. So if you don't like the restaurant, the next time you're going out for dinner, go someplace else. It's not as if Mr. Herzig didn't show up. It's not as if you got somebody else to play instead of him. You allowed him to start at 5:30, finish at 9:30. I am absolutely 100% positive that people clapped to the music, danced if they danced to the music.
They didn't.
Were on the dance floor. Maybe not everybody. Some people were on the dance floor during the course of the event. In any event, you used his services. You ate his ribs. When you stopped payment on his check, you had no right to do that. You stiffed him. You stole his money. And then you said, you don't like it? Sue me. Which is what he's doing. He wanted to embarrass you. I assume he embarrassed you. That's too bad. What he was saying is true. He's allowed to embarrass you. You have anything else you want to say?
Yes, how about he promised me the lighting system, the sound system was bad. I have on tape.
No, madam, I want you to take a look at your contract. And I want you to show me in your contract where it's in the contract.
No,
Listen to me. That's what you are bound by.
Okay.
The four corners of the contract. I want you to show me, Miss Mora, in the contract where it says that he's going to supply you with a lighting system.
Well, how about the sound system here?
Listen to me. I said, show me in the contract, in the four corners of the contract, where he says he's going to supply you with a lighting system.
That was my mistake, not having him write it, I guess.
You're absolutely right. What kind of business are you in, sir?
Hotel.
What kind of business in the hotel?
Casino.
What do you do in the casino?
I'm a department manager.
You know about contracts?
A little bit.
Good. Well, you have to explain that to your wife, sir. Anything that's within the four corners of the contract, or what courts consider if you sue him. If you said to me he didn't show up until 7 o'clock, and I find that he didn't show up until 7 o'clock, that means he gets docked. The fact that you didn't like the ribs is, as we say in French, bad. Next time, do you have another bar mitzvah that you're planning? Don't use Mr. Herzog. He doesn't want you to use him. They owe you $650.
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff and your counterclaims dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
What is the excuse? You may step out. This case number 271 on the calendar in the matter of Scheibel versus Lukowski. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Scheibel, the defendant was your son's hockey coach, is that right?
Correct.
And it is your claim that he filed false charges against you, alleging certain threats of violence and harassment. You want to be compensated.
Correct.
The defendant says that whatever charges he filed against you were absolutely accurate, and he has a cross-complaint because he said that you have continued to harass him.
Correct.
How long has your son been in a hockey league, Mr. Scheibel?
It's going on probably 2 years now.
And how long has the defendant been his coach?
I believe this is the first year.
Had they had difficulty from the beginning?
It seemed like it started from I believe, the first game.
Well, tell me about it.
Something had happened on the bench, I'm not quite sure, and then he accused my son of saying vulgar words. And then after the game, my wife had confronted him about it.
You weren't there?
Yes, I was there, but I was at a different part of the ring.
So this is when the trouble started. So maybe you can tell me. What happened at the first game, if you remember?
Steven Scheibel on my team was in the corner of the bench making gestures like this. I asked him if he was doing okay, and he said no. I thought he was ill. Therefore, he didn't go out the next few shifts. Another young man walked off the rink onto the bench and said to Steven, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, he's sick." And he goes, "No, I'm not. F you." I turned to the other coach. I says, I was just cursed at again, which was several other times during practices as it happened.
This young man cursed at you other times?
Oh, yes, ma'am. This has been a constant problem with Steven Scheibel, his behavior. We as coaches took disciplinary action by benching him. And in this particular case, I was the one that went and approached Mr. and Mrs. Scheibel outside the rink to advise them of their child's behavior. I said to Mr. and Mrs. Scheibel, I want to let you know of an incident that took place, what their son had said to me. Mrs. Scheibel then called Steven over and asked him if he said, "Did you say F you?" And Steven said, "No, Mom."
So he lied?
Yes, ma'am. And then...
Sure you did.
And then Mrs. Scheibel started yelling at me, "Don't be making things up about my son." And
so she's an idiot too?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey. Before we get to any claims of false charges, let me tell you exactly where I'm coming from, so you understand. Usually, fathers who participate as coaches do so because they love the sport and they generally like children. So that I have to assume that the man standing before me is not a psychopath, and that the reason he participates in the sport is because he likes children, and he likes the sport. So if somebody in authority comes over to you and says to you, madam, your son's got a toilet mouth, you believe him. Yes, now you're saying yeah.
I did. I believed him. That's why I went and got my son.
And your son said, no, I didn't say it?
I said, you have to apologize to this man if you said that.
Stand up here. Yeah. Not if you said that. Not if you said that. How dare you open your mouth to him?
Right.
Because he just looked at me before and said, I didn't say that. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
You're a liar.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You may con her, but you don't con me, because there's no reason for him to lie. You know how many punks like you I've seen in my life who have a fresh mouth? Tens of thousands. And the majority of the ones that continue to get in trouble come from parents who don't think that they do anything wrong, who blame somebody else. There shouldn't have been a question, did you say it? No, not did you say it. He said it. He lied to you, he lied to me. The only thing is, I call him. Now sit down. What happened afterwards?
Well, after we started taking disciplinary action against Stephen regarding other incidences, one was he punched another player on our bench in the stomach, completely disruptive, which led up to having him dismissed from the team. That's when all my problems started, Your Honor. I had death threats called to my house. I've had motorcycles show up in front of my house. Mr. Scheibel continually showed up at our games at 3 different facilities using profanity, and I'm not talking just trash talk. I'm talking vulgar words in front of all the children.
How many times did Mr. Scheibel show up at games where his son was not a participant? And give me the dates and the places.
13. I can go right through the dates, Your Honor, if
Can
you
you
like.
do that, please?
On August 4th,
Go ahead.
that's the time that Mr. Scheibel came after the other coach and I. On August 6th, he showed up at the Great Lakes Sports Facility in Fraser.
What were you doing there?
My son was supposed to be playing, and my son had went down to the locker room, and the coach's wife, she had told him that he's no longer on the roster.
So did you stay or did you leave?
Well, I went down there to see what was going on, and she came up to me, and I told her, I said, why are you talking to me? You have a PPO out on me.
Who had a protective order against you?
Mark and the coach's wife, which I don't understand.
When was that issued, sir?
I believe it was 8-4 or 8 something.
The 8.
Can I see the protective order, please? All right, so now he knows that the kid's not on the team anymore. Now it's August 6th. If he ever knew
Actually,
before...
Your Honor, he had been advised the previous evening when...
Fine. I assume he knew the previous evening and he
Right.
came down there just to test it. But when was the next time he showed up at a game?
On August 10th, he showed up at Joe Dumar's field house in a different facility that we were at. And
What
at
were you
that-
doing there on the 10th, sir?
Was that the day Stephen, did he play?
Did he play on that date?
No, ma'am.
Was he scheduled to play?
No, ma'am.
What were you still doing involved with this hockey team, sir? Your son was kicked off the team because of his behavior. What were you still involved for?
He was still playing at this
Yeah,
time.
he wasn't kicked off yet. He technically was not kicked off until, I think it was August 12th.
Fine. After August 12th, did he show up at any game?
On the 12th, he showed up at Great Lakes Sports Facility in Fraser and threatened the other coach, his wife, and myself again.
What did he say when he showed up on the 12th?
He said that we better put his son back on the team. I haven't seen the end of him. I will pay. Basically, I don't know if it was this conversation. I better sleep with one eye open.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You said, my son better be back on this team or you better sleep with one eye open. That's a threat, and I believe you said it. Oh, yeah.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David Scheibel says after an incident at a hockey game, his son's coach, Mark Lukowski Sr., filed false charges with the police. Mark says David threatened his life.
Now, on the 8th, there was a protective order issued. What was that based on?
Your Honor, I had received the threats, and he continually came to the facilities. I was for fear of my children and my family.
Okay.
I contacted an attorney. They advised me to go get a personal protection order.
Was that subsequently extended at any time?
No, Your Honor. They filed for motion for dismissal, and we went before the judge on August 26th. And at that case, the judge read Mr. Scheibel the Riot Act and advised him if he sees him in his courtroom one more time, he would be going straight to jail.
He has the minutes. Let me see the minutes.
Okay, great.
According to statute in your jurisdiction, statute requires 3 contacts that are unwanted after notice. He has to have notice. He does go on to say, now he's on notice. And if there's further contact with you or your son or your family, then you can come back to court. He was not happy with you. Judge is not happy with you. He didn't say he didn't believe what he told him. He said their statute requires 3 contacts. I don't know why it requires 3 contacts. 1 would seem to me to be sufficient. However, you have no right to come in and sue him. Absolutely none. If you put him in fear because of your conduct, then there is no question that by going to the games where you didn't belong, after your son was already on notice that there were problems, and you put yourself out there, he had a right to say, I feel threatened, and I'm afraid, and go to court and seek a protective order so that you would stay away from him. And the protective order is very simple, Mr. Scheibel. It says you're prevented from assaulting, attacking, beating, or molesting him, which you shouldn't do anyway. Interfering with petitioner at his employment, education, or engaging in conduct which impairs petitioner's employment or education, you can't do that anyway. Harassing him, approaching or confronting him in a public place or on private property, you're not to do that anyway. But it also says you're not to appear at his workplace or residence. They've laid those things out. The first part of this protective order prohibits you from doing what the law proscribes anyway. So what's your complaint?
He has no proof that I did all these lies.
I believe him. Oh, I believe him.
Well, I called
believe
his
that
house and made fire threats?
No. I'm discounting that. The court discounted that. I read what they said. They asked him, do you have any proof that he was the one who made those threatening calls? And he said no. I'm discounting that. I am not discounting the fact that you said, my son better be back on this team or you better sleep with one eye open. That's a threat. And I believe you said it. Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't.
Oh, yes, I believe you said it. Because I don't believe that somebody who gives up their time to coach a hockey team with children wants to be confrontational.
He's had 3 children walk off this team crying.
So
and
what?
now they're all on my team.
Good for you. I hope your son doesn't curse you.
If he had lied to one time, well, it says he didn't lie again.
What do you mean if he lied once? When did he lie?
About the motorcycles?
No. He didn't lie about that, sir. Listen to me very carefully. What he testified in front of me was that right after your son was dismissed from the team, he started to get threats. He started to get phone calls. Motorcycles started coming around his house. That's what he testified before me. He didn't say he saw you on the motorcycle. He didn't say he did the threats. He said it was coincidental. I'm discounting all of that, sir. I'm saying I believe him when he says that you said you better put my son back on the team or you better sleep with one eye open or you haven't heard the last of this. That's enough of a threat. Now, let's get to your counterclaim. I'll hear it.
Okay, Your Honor. On August 24th, my son Eric was playing a hockey game in the town that Mr. Scheibel resides in. At that time, Mr. Scheibel volunteered to be the scorekeeper during that game. At that time, he started making harassing comments to my son while he was playing hockey. A police report was filed and made, and intimidation and stalking was the offense. And I have a copy of that if you'd like to see it.
I'll look at the police report.
This was the day prior to going back to the PPO hearing. At that time, my son had to discontinue playing hockey at that place. He had made the...
Just a minute. Do you have copies of any of the emails that you allege that Mr. Scheibel sent to your son?
No, Your Honor, I do not. I was called while I was out of town that Mr. Scheibel had sent an email to my son, Eric, and basically it was a non-threatening one, although an intimidating one, by indicating...
I just asked you if you had copies of the emails, sir. I didn't ask for an explanation.
No, I don't.
Mr. Scheibel, did you ever approach one John Savage with regard to your son being thrown off the team?
The father? Yes.
John?
I don't know his name, but I believe that's his name, yes.
And when you approached him, your husband was around?
No.
You went back to where your husband was seated after you spoke to Mr. Savage?
Correct.
And your husband cursed at Mr. Savage?
Yes. I was crying at that time.
Your husband cursed at Mr. Savage?
Yes, correct.
And you told your husband to be quiet?
Possibly.
And that's because he was behaving badly?
Well, I do not like cursing, period.
Step up, Eric. Eric, I want you to tell me what it was that Mr. Scheibel said or did to you that frightened you.
When I was skating by him, he would always go, I'm over here, Eric. Come over here, Eric.
Is there any reason for that, sir? Is there any reason you were calling his name at hockey games?
I wasn't.
Why do you think he would say that you did?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Could it possibly be that because his father had a protective order against you, That you felt as if you could get his goat by making his son feel uncomfortable?
No.
You would never do that.
No, I wouldn't.
You're not a hothead.
He has tried to
No,
provoke
you're
me,
not a
yes.
hothead, is what I said.
No, I'm not.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
He's talking about approaching his son. He walked by my son and said, my son is going to kick your ass.
Bad behavior.
Very bad behavior.
Very bad behavior.
I also have a police report, too, Your Honor, that he has implicated my husband, my son, and another member in stealing, larceny from a building. We've been approached by people. Oh, you're the people that have the PPO against you. Oh, you're the people that, you know, stole tiles. He is just spreading rumor after rumor after rumor.
Well, the part about a protective order, that's not a rumor.
But, you know, that was all based on lies, too, Your Honor.
No, it wasn't. Oh, no, no, no.
Phone calls?
Did you listen? Are you not hearing me?
You said
are you not hearing me?
You were ignoring this, correct?
Are you not hearing me? I said to you, if somebody says you better sleep with one eye open or I'm going to get you, that's enough for a protective order, and I believe your husband said that to him. And I'm not interested in phone calls because he says he doesn't really know who made them. That's what he told the judge. He said, it just so happens that coincidentally, after Potty Mouth over here was dismissed from the team, he started to get all of these telephone call hang-ups. Now, it could have been your son, it could have been his friends, it could have been somebody else, it could have been your husband. Who knows? Maybe it was you. All I know is that from what I've read, stop flipping, what I've read, your husband's got a toilet mouth sufficient for you to have said to him, sit down in a public place because he cursed at another coach in front of children. Yes, and you had to say to him, sit down.
Okay, I realize, but Mr. Lukowski is saying this all happened after they removed my son from the team, which that is not true.
I don't care if it happened before or after or less Tisha B'Av. Doesn't make any difference. Your case is dismissed, period, end of discussion. As far as you're concerned, sir, I want to know if you think that you did everything right.
Yes, Your Honor, I did. I have the code of conduct that I have to sign as a coach.
Don't give me code of conduct.
And
I don't want to have code of conduct. I'm not talking about dismissing him. I think if he opened up a mouth to you once, get rid of him. If his father's prepared to tolerate that, because that's the kind of language his father uses, that's the kind of adult he'll grow up to be. But his mother says that you said something to him.
that is totally not true, Your Honor. I would never. I've coached hockey for 7 years, year-round, with 400 to 450 children under my direction and never had any problems. I'm there for the kids. There's no way I would intimidate a young man.
Well, let's see who heard this. Did you hear it?
No, my son.
Maybe I'll believe him if he says something that's truthful. Get up here. Tell me about a conversation or a statement that your former coach said to you after you had stopped playing ball.
Well, I was there to sub for another team, and I was standing there watching the other game. He looked at me and he's like, well, my son's going to kick your... Then he walked over to where his son was playing, like he was going to tell him.
And what did you do when he said that to you?
I just kind of stood there and went over to the locker room so I can get dressed.
You mean dressed to play?
Yeah.
And did you play?
Yeah.
Did anything happen at the game?
No, not really.
Your Honor, I do recall this instance and situation, although what I did is my son was playing in a different league. I said to my wife, I'm going to go watch Mark kick some butt, and I walked over to the rink to watch my oldest son play. I made no reference to Stephen Scheibel, never would.
Maybe he heard it and took it as directed to him.
I would never say anything like that.
Maybe. All right, listen, go home. Both of you, go home. What?
Well, after he kicked me off the team, a couple games during the playoffs, he let me play again.
So? It means he's a nice guy. I wouldn't have let you play again. He opened up a big, fresh toilet mouth to me, and you would have been in another jurisdiction, another state.
Your Honor,
Just a second. That didn't require an answer. What I'm trying to get through to him is his mother may believe that he never said the words that he said to you. He learned them at home. He sees that they're commonplace. His father can say it, he can say it. There's no question his father said it because his mother said his father said it. If I asked his father would have probably denied it, just like his son did. It's a game. It's a game. It's a game.
On the calendar, no matter Wofford versus Cox. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Wofford, you and the defendant, according to your complaint, had an off-again, on-again relationship for about 7 years.
Correct.
The last time it was off-again, it is your claim that he came into the house and took all the property, half of which was yours. He says He got sick and tired of being tossed out with the clothes on his back over the 7-year period and decided that he was going to take the property this time because he paid for it and it's his. He's got a counterclaim for a truck that he purchased for $750 that he says was put in your name because he had some driver's license problems and you had the truck towed onto your property and he wants his truck back. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, why are you bothering me? Together on and off for 7 years, not married. You see, we don't have courts here for those people who choose just to live together. We have courts for people who are married and divorcing. You know, the property is either community property or it's property that is divided by equitable distribution. But you expect me to go back and figure out who bought what? Is that what you want?
No. No.
So what do you want?
I would like half of what was given, or half of what was ours.
Who bought it?
We bought it together. We shared all of our monies together.
Did you have a joint bank account?
No, we did not.
You mean you would see a TV and you would say, well, the TV is $500. Here's $250 and here's $250.
That's correct.
Show me. No, the burden is on her.
Okay.
Just listen to me. The burden is on her.
Okay. I would be more than glad to show you proof of receipts, but when he came into my house after the day he broke the restraining order, they took all the receipts. They took the contents of the file cabinet. So I have no receipts. I have pictures of what the TV looks like. I have warranty cards on it.
Did you
That's
go
all I
into
have
the
to offer
house after there was a restraining order filed against you?
I thought I was illegally served. I even called the courts. It was the next day. I went back and only took what things were mine.
Tell me what you took.
I took my TV, my camping gear, my skis, and things that my parents have given me over the years. Tin cans that we collect.
What else?
And my clothes. VCR that a friend of mine owed me $20, and he gave me his VCR instead because he didn't have the money to pay me back.
What else?
That's all I can remember.
Okay. Now, how long did you live in this apartment together?
About 5 years.
Is that right?
Yeah, a little over 5 years.
Did you sleep in a bed?
Yes, we did.
Did he take the bed?
No.
Did you sit on a couch? Shh. Did you sit on a couch?
Yes.
Did he take the couch?
No.
Did you eat on a table?
Yes.
Did he take the table?
Yes, he did.
Kitchen table?
Yes.
Did you take the table?
Yes. I just purchased it.
Just a second. Took the table. Take the chairs that went with the table?
There was 2 chairs with it.
2 chairs. Now let's go back to the living room. There's a sofa.
Yes.
Is there any chair in the living room?
There was 1 chair.
Did he take the chair?
Yes, he did.
Is that right?
The recliner chair that my mom gave me, yes.
Where did she give us? Did
My
his
mom
mother
never gave you anything.
Shh. Come on. Swafford. Did the recliner chair come from his mother?
Yes.
Is there a cocktail table in the living room?
Yes, there was.
Okay. And?
He took that also, which was a Christmas gift.
Just a second. Did you know, Mr. Cox, when I ask you what you took, you're
I'm
supposed to answer me, sir.
I'm a little nervous, that's all.
I don't care if you're nervous or not. You remembered your skis and you remember the $20 VCR. When I ask you what you took, you're supposed to tell me. How many pieces of furniture did you leave?
Everything that was hers. The couch. She has another kitchen table upstairs. All the 4 chairs that go to that kitchen table.
Just a minute. Is there another kitchen table in the house?
Yes, there was.
And did he leave it?
Oh, yes, he did.
Good. What else?
That was hers.
Oh, just a second. What else did you leave is what I want to know.
Her microwave, the microwave stand.
Okay, just a second. Was there a microwave in the house?
Yes.
And did he leave it?
Yes.
You see, what I'm trying to get at, Ms. Wofford, is the following. I have absolutely no intention of wasting my time in going through a bunch of ridiculous items of property. You now have a house. Your house has a bed to sleep in, a table and chairs to eat off of, a couch to sit on, right?
Yes, correct.
You have a microwave, and I assume an oven. Oven is kind of hard to say, but you have a microwave to warm things up, and as far as I'm concerned, that's as much cooking as any natural person has to have. So you have a perfectly livable condition, and I have no intention of going through items like a table and 2 chairs. You got a table and 2 chairs, you got a table and 4 chairs. You got a couch, you took the recliner chair.
Okay, may I say something? There was personal items of mine that he took.
Like what?
When he took his clothes out of the closet, instead of looking, he just gathered them up like this. There was a ski jacket that was bought for me from my sister. The skis that he took that were given to me by my sister. There was several clothes, my fishing pole, my tackle box, the coffee table that was built for me by my son's friend. And here's a statement from him, from the agreement that him and Ron had on it.
Because I paid for it, that's why the agreement's...
No, that is not.
Well, maybe why don't you explain why we got another coffee table?
Listen to me. Listen to me.
I'm sorry.
Okay, now I want to go back to the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Who purchased the truck?
I did.
We did.
Ask her
Just a second, just a second.
Ask her who the owners were that I bought it from. She don't even know.
How much did the truck cost?
I paid $700 for it.
Where did you get the $700 from?
I made payments as I was working. Each payday, I made payments on it because I couldn't pay $700 up front.
We made payments
Just a
on
second.
it.
Just a second. How did you make payments on it?
Because my boss...
How?
Oh, out of my check.
Check or cash?
Cash.
Now, the rest of the money, sir, went for
Food.
rent and gas and electric, and I assume that you paid those things together.
We did.
Is that right?
My checks usually paid all the bills and stuff because my checks were bigger than her amount because at the time, she was only making minimum wage.
Okay. So your checks went to pay the household bills, and her checks went for what?
To get through. She had a direct deposit. In the last 6-8 months, the year that we were together, her money was her money, and mine was mine. More or less, my money got through, and I had to beg her for
That is not true whatsoever.
That
That
is
is not.
true.
Everything we had together was paid 50-50. He paid half the rent. I paid half the rent.
Show me.
Electricity.
I had some bills to show you that.
Show me.
I have no.
Did you pay your rent by check?
No, we paid it by cash. And can we
Okay,
get back
listen to me. Listen to me. Hey!
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Can we talk about the restraining order he broke?
No.
Ma'am, what about the...
No.
And later today,
This is her signature, 213. No deposit. Price of the puppy, $500. No deposit. What are you, a Swiftie?
No, ma'am, that's her signature, ma'am.
No, it isn't.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diane Wofford says ex-boyfriend Ron Cox stole her belongings when he moved out of their apartment. Ron says Diane stole his truck.
Do you have a car?
Yes, I do.
What kind of car do you have?
I have the Toyota pickup and I have a Chevy.
No! What kind of car do you
I
have?
have a Chevy Cavalier that is
All
broken.
right. Now, what year car is it?
It's a 90 Chevy Cavalier.
The time that the truck was purchased, were you driving the Chevy Cavalier?
Yes.
And what was Mr. Cox driving?
He wasn't driving anything at the time because he doesn't have a driver's license.
Bird, would you give me the title, please?
Can we talk about the restraining order he broke?
No.
Okay. Can we talk about his
You could talk
alcoholism?
about you could talk about that with your children, but I'm not interested in it. I'm just interested in getting this.
Sorry.
I'm just interested in right now the truck. Oh, okay. I see that this truck was purchased in two people's names. Is that right?
I purchased.
Is that right?
It is at the time, yeah.
All right. Now, Mr. Wofford, let me explain to you something, sir. While there is no equitable distribution or community property involved in people living together, when people choose stupidly to live together for 7 years or 5 years without benefit of marriage, I'm going to take the easiest way out for a court in determining who owns property. And as far as I'm concerned, this property is owned 50-50. Do you understand? You chose, for whatever reason, to put her name on the title.
I made that mistake.
You made a mistake. If you made a mistake, why should I have to suffer for it by extending this case any longer than I have to? Now, you paid $700 for the truck?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? Correct. Very good. Now, Miss Wofford, are you driving this pickup now?
Yes, I am.
What happened to your Chevy?
It's broken. This is...
So you're driving it?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, correct.
And do you drive it to work?
Yes, I do.
And I assume you want to keep it?
Yes, I do.
Very good. Then you will pay him on his counterclaim, okay, $350. Your claim is dismissed. On the counterclaim, I'm awarding you $350, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Sign over the title.
What about all my stuff? What about my personal belongings that he has
Sign
taken out of
over
my
the
home?
title. Do we have a pen?
Your Honor, may I say something?
No.
Ma'am, what about the...
No. You're getting a truck, Miss Wofford, that in all probability you had nothing to do with paying for, and you're getting it at a bargain price. Do you understand?
I guess.
Do you understand? Worth at least as much as the fishing pole you say that he took. And that somebody's skis that... Did you sign it, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Now, Bird, would you hand that over to Miss Wofford? And then, Bird, would you do me the last favor? Sure. Would you show them out?
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This man came into my home, ripped me off. I have a restraining order about his alcoholism problems this man has had.
A whole relationship was abusive, both physically and mentally.
He's a nothing. He's a no good. He'll always be a no good.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Dabrowski versus Allen, step forward, please.
22-year-old sales rep Lena Dabrowski is suing dog breeder Teresa Allen for a refund for a pit bull puppy and related expenses. Teresa is countersuing for boarding costs and loss of profit.
Mr. Dabrowski, you claim to have purchased a puppy from the defendant, and the puppy turned out to have certain medical problems. Ms. Allen says that there was nothing wrong with the puppy. As a matter of fact, she is counterclaiming. She says that she had a great deal of expense because you returned this puppy to her. At first glance, her countersuit is nonsense, but I will allow her to at least tell me what she thinks you owe her. How did you find this breeder? What kind of a dog did you purchase and when?
It's American Pit Bull Terrier. I found her in June.
How did you find her?
On the internet. We contacted each other through email at first. I couldn't pay for what she was asking up front.
What was she asking?
The $1,000 for a puppy. And when we had a phone conversation after that, we agreed on $500 as long as whenever the dog is shown, her name comes up, kind of like a representation.
And where did you have to go to pick the puppy up?
I had to drive to Las Vegas from San Diego to pick the puppy up. You
mean there are no puppies where you live?
I'm sure there was. I thought she was a very reputable breeder.
Go ahead.
The dogs that I saw on the pictures, I really like the dogs.
Do you have a bill of sale?
Yes, I have the actual contract. Where it states actually right here, where the puppy was $500 and there was no deposit right next to it.
Well, let me just take a look at the contract. You picked up this puppy on the 2nd of March?
Yes, 2nd of March.
Okay, and when did you take the puppy to the vet?
To the vet, I took it on, that's the first vet appointment was on the 6th. But I called her the next day. I noticed that one of its eye was discolored. So I called her that day.
What do you mean discolored? Tell me.
It had like a bluish grayish tint in it. As this. And you don't need the fee. So just basically here, and it talks about the eyes. That's where that is.
Under the examination report, this veterinarian indicates under the eyes there is a discharge, trouble with vision, abnormalities. Now, did you call her and let her know what the results of this examination were?
Yes, I did.
And what did she say to you?
And she said that basically I have to take it because that vet didn't know, and there's no way that that's happening with the dog. I have to take it to an ophthalmologist because.
And did you take it to an ophthalmologist?
I just end up taking it to an ophthalmologist.
Can I see the report from the ophthalmologist?
This is the letter from the ophthalmologist. And in the bottom, in bold, it states exactly what's wrong with the dog and what its condition is.
So after you got this from the ophthalmologist, what did you do?
In order to avoid the shipping cost, we agreed that if I was to take it to an ophthalmologist and pay the $65 fee, her husband was going to be down in Riverside in April. I would drive up to Riverside, which would be a lot shorter for me, and just give him the dog then.
Excuse me, Your Honor. That was not the whole agreement.
Well, what was the agreement?
Well, first off, she threatened me on the phone throughout the whole conversation.
She's not finished yet. Then you'll have your turn, unless you can give me a swift. That was not our agreement. Our agreement was...
The agreement was that if I went to the show, that we would take the dog out there at the time when we went to the dog show.
So you did have an agreement that you would pick up the dog if you went out to a dog show?
If we went to the dog show, yes,
And you didn't go to the dog show. Is that what you're telling me?
No, we didn't go to the dog show on that dog show.
Oh, okay. So you spent $65 for the vet.
I spent $65.
And how much did you spend to send the dog back because they didn't go to the dog show?
$138.87, and I have the receipt for that as well.
Go ahead.
And she also told me that I had to take it to get its shots. And that was another $30.95, and that already happened March 14th. And I have the receipts for that as well.
Okay. And $500 for the puppy.
Right.
Okay, now I'll hear you, Miss Allen.
Ma'am, I do have a copy of the breed standard for UKC. Mr. Browski states that the dog is not breedable and showable. Breed standard does not specify that.
She wanted to return the puppy.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me explain something to you, Miss Allen. This puppy was in ill health. She is entitled to, under the terms of your contract, her money back.
Yes, ma'am. And I told her I would give her money back, all but the deposit, which is non-refundable, which, when anybody ever emails me about a dog, I explain to them that there's a $200 non-refundable deposit required on
Just show me in your contract where there was a deposit.
On that one, ma'am, there's not.
This is the only contract. Where is it? You have another contract?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see that day. I would like to see the other contract. Have the plaintiff write her name 3 times on this piece of paper, please.
Sorry, write the what?
Just write your name.
Write your name 3 times.
First and second name. I want you to look at this, and I want you to tell me whether this is your signature. This is the contract that the defendant says plaintiff signed, which indicates that there was a $200 deposit. Is that your signature?
That does not look like my signature, no.
It sure doesn't to me.
You know what? I don't do the K's and the Y's like that, no. My SKY is never like that.
It's not her signature. You wrote this yourself. Give this back to her. She wrote it herself. It's not her signature as it appears on the complaint. It's not her signature as it appears in her writing exemplar. This is her signature, 213. No deposit. Price for puppy, $500. No deposit. What are you, a Swiftie? I mean,
No,
what's
ma'am,
wrong with
that's
you?
her signature, ma'am.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's not her signature. You're a business person. You say, return the dog to me pursuant to our contract, and I'm going to send you your money back, or you can come and pick out another puppy.
And, ma'am, I did that except for the deposit, which was
There was no
non-refundable.
deposit. You're a Swiftie.
No, ma'am.
Not in the contract. Not in the contract that I see. She didn't do this contract over again.
This is the same contract. I printed out 2 copies that day, ma'am, and she
Well,
signed both of the copies in front
No,
of me.
no. One says deposit 0.
Yes, ma'am, and because I messed up on both the contracts, on the first one that she signed, ma'am, I did not put the deposit. When I printed out the second one, I made sure that I did that
But
right.
she didn't sign her name. You did.
No, ma'am.
Or your husband did, or your friend. No. The signatures are totally different. Totally, completely different. The contract, however, does say that the return of the dog is at your expense.
Okay.
You understand that?
Yes.
So you are entitled to $500, which is the cost of your puppy, $65 that you paid for the doctor. It's another $30 to have shots, right? Because she told you to have shots.
Right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
I've had to place the
Đề tài mình đang cầm đấy là sản phẩm tinh dầu bưởi, có cái công dụng là sẽ ngăn ngừa rụng tóc, nuôi dưỡng da đầu, kích thích mọc tóc và chóng râu cực kỳ là hiệu quả. Và mỗi loại như thế này thì có dung tích là 100 ml, và những cái thành phần thì hoàn toàn là từ thiên nhiên, với những cái thành phần chính như là tinh dầu vỏ bưởi tinh khiết, vitamin E, vitamin B, tổng hợp vitamin H, vitamin D, được tất và các dưỡng chất quý từ thảo dược và thiên nhiên. Và với dòng tinh dầu bưởi này thì nó sẽ giúp kích thích mọc tóc con, làm cho tóc dày và dài gấp 3 lần, giảm cái tình trạng như là gãy, rụng và giảm khô, xơ, phục hồi tóc khi tổn, giúp mái tóc của chúng ta luôn được bồng bềnh, đầy sức sống, chắc khỏe, óng mượt, mượt mà, và đặc biệt là sẽ phục hồi các cái vấn đề như là tóc bị chẻ ngọn, bị gãy do đã dùng quá nhiều cái loại hóa chất. Đó là một trong những cái công dụng của tinh dầu bưởi mang lại khi mà chúng ta sử dụng. Và đối với dòng tinh dầu bưởi này thì sẽ phù hợp với những người mà tóc mỏng, tóc thưa hoặc là hói đầu, hoặc là những phụ nữ sau sinh mà bị rụng tóc quá nhiều, người có tiền sử và tâm lý để như là rụng tóc, hoặc là những người mà muốn chăm sóc tóc để có một cái mái tóc dày, khỏe đẹp. Những người mà sử dụng quá nhiều hóa chất khi mà chúng ta làm tóc, như là khi mà chúng ta làm tóc thì thường sẽ sử dụng những cái hóa chất như là để cuốn, để ép, ruồi và nhuộm, thì chúng ta nên sử dụng cái dòng tinh dầu bưởi này để chúng ta có một cái mái tóc khỏe, đẹp, suôn mượt và chắc chắn hơn.